Okay, well, I have 6:30, j'ai 6h30. So welcome to our council meeting of November 2nd. Bienvenue à notre réunion du conseil du 2 novembre. The municipality of West Nipissing respectfully acknowledges that we are gathered on the homelands of Anishinaabe peoples on the traditional territory of the Nipissing, Temagami, and Doki's First Nations, covered by the Robinson-Huron Treaty. We honor and recognize their historic connection to the land and value their significant contributions in shaping and strengthening our communities. We are grateful to be gathered here today. La municipalité de Nipissing-Ouest souligne respectueusement que nous sommes réunis sur le territoire désigné dans le traité Robinson-Huron, territoire traditionnel du peuple Anishinaabe, et particulièrement des Premières Nations Nipissing, Temagami et Dokis. Nous honorons leur lien historique avec cet endroit et nous apprécions leur contribution significative à nos communautés. Nous sommes reconnaissants d'être réunis ici aujourd'hui. Are there any declaration of pecuniary interest? Aucune déclaration d'intérêt pécuniaire? None? A mover and a seconder for the agenda. Councillor Chris, Conseiller Bruley.
It is moved by Councillor Fisher and seconded by Councillor Larrabee, whereas Section 9.1.1 of the procedural bylaw sets out the format for council agendas, and whereas Section 9.2 of the procedural bylaw permits council to adjust the order of the agenda of matters by a resolution of 2/3 of the members present, whereas council agrees to amend the order of the agenda for November the 2nd, 2021, in order to address matters impacting municipal operations and residents of the municipality. We have therefore resolved that the order of the November 2nd, 2021 agenda be amended, and be it further resolved that the agenda for the meeting of council held on November the 2nd be adopted as presented.
Are there any questions or comments? Aucune question ou commentaire? None? Carried? Adopté. We don't have any delegation in petition, aucune délégation et pétition. Moving on to the regular council, séance régulière. We do have a closed meeting, réunion à huis clos. Is there a mover and a seconder for the resolution? Conseiller Léo, Conseiller Chris.
It is moved by Councillor Mellette and seconded by Councillor Fisher. Be it resolved that we proceed into closed meeting as authorized in Section 239(2) of the Municipal Act to discuss the following: personal matters about identifiable individuals, including municipal or local board employees, litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality or local board, regarding a human resources investigation, CAO complaint unresolved.
Are there any comments or questions? Aucun commentaire, aucune question? Conseiller Yvon.
Madame Mayoress, I have a problem with the as to how the closed meetings agenda is formatted. I believe that the subject matter number 2 should be number 1, litigation or potential litigation. That should be number 1 to discuss first. And I'll only accept it if that's done.
Okay, thank you, Conseiller Yvon. Conseiller Alice.
Ben, je veux dire, j'ai pas de problème avec la chose numéro 2, mais vraiment, ça devrait être I qui devrait être en premier parce que c'est quelque chose qui est depuis le mois de mai. Puis moi, je n'accepterai pas l'agenda. Je vais à la clause si le numéro I n'est pas mis le premier item qu'on discute. Ça fait depuis le 14 de mai. Puis il y a une rencontre qui était que les gens n'ont pas voulu continuer dans ça, puis cet item-là était là, puis elle est revenue, puis moi, je n'accepte pas l'agenda tant que ce n'est pas ça qu'on a discuté. Ça, c'est mon point de vue.
Councillor Rowley.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. In respect to our English speaking council and also the resident, could you repeat that in English, please?
I would ask somebody to do it because thank you very much. And I guess if we start doing that, I like somebody to repeat it, but we're going to have to start doing that when people talk English also to translate in French for the people that are listening. So, I mean, like I said, I told my reason why. I will obviously address myself. If I address myself to somebody that don't speak French, I will talk English and I'll do my best to make it sound good. But I have the right to, and I've been pinpoint because my English is very bad. I never tried to hide that, obviously. So, and this is why. So feel free if anybody wants to translate it. But I will ask the same thing that is done when somebody talk English because it's only fair.
Well, since you brought it up, Conseil Rowley, Conseil Elise is stating that she will not be supporting the resolution as is due to the matter that has been tabled dating back to the month of May, which she feels that should be the first matter to be dealt with. Are there any further comments or questions? Conseil Denis?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I also agree that the process is not as it's supposed to be. We have an outstanding issue that's been the longest, and that's the one we should deal with. And it's kind of tiring to play these little games. But anyways, I'm not voting for this, the agenda as is. Thank you.
Are there further comments or questions by members of council pertaining to the resolution before us? Conseil Leo?
Sorry, Madam Mayor, I think Mrs. Craddock had her hand up, so I think she wants to speak on the issue.
Okay, I've seen it, Conseil Leo. So I'll pass it on to our Director of Corporate Services.
Being one who may have missed some of the nuances of Councillor Senecal's statement, there seems to be an impression that there are two items and that one is in different order than the other, and we should be dealing with one first. There is one item. And as Councillor Denis Senecal mentioned, you know, the semantics over how we call that item is a really a difficult point for me at this point. There is one item that has been unresolved since May. That is the item that is on the closed meeting agenda. I believe that council already passed the agenda, so we shouldn't be discussing the agenda at this point. I mean, if you choose not to support the resolution, that's absolutely your choice, but you should not be discussing the agenda at this point because council has approved the agenda. But I did just want to clarify that it's not, you know, litigation above personal matters. It is one matter. It's the unresolved HR investigation CEO complaint.
Okay. Well, I think what happens is the fact that members are asked to vote on a resolution to proceed in closed. I've been hearing comments why they will not support the resolution to go in closed with an explanation. So are there any other comments or questions pertaining to the actual resolution? Conseil Leo, do you have a comment or a question pertaining to the resolution?
Yes, could I have clarification from our CEO? I don't understand. I mean, can we get a clarification, please?
Well, I think we got the clarification from our Director of Corporate Services. Is there anything else that you would want to seek, Conseil Leo?
Yes, the confirmation by the CEO, please, if you don't mind. That's what we need.
Well, our CEO has his hand up, and Jade, did you have any, Mr. Barbo, did you have any other comments?
Mr. Barbo, but I'm confused as to what is being asked is all. I'm not involved, obviously, in whatever. Are you asking that there is an item in closed session that needs to be dealt with before the HR matter, and you wish that to be dealt with as well ahead of the issue involving the CAO? Or like, I honestly don't know what your problem is with respect to, my understanding is the purpose for setting the agenda the way it was, and it was set by the treasurer and the clerk, is to put a matter, an HR matter, at the start of the agenda, so that it can be dealt with, because there may be matters during the agenda that could impact it. Is there something else you wish to talk about in closed and that the order is wrong? Because if that's a minor point, you wish to talk about something else, then, feel free.
I don't think that members of council that have shared concerns so far pertaining to the resolution to proceed in closed, that they want to speak regarding to something else. I think
what is the issue you're saying, Madam?
Can I finish, Mr. Barbeau?
I would love you to, absolutely, for sure. Finish.
Mr. Barbeau, please.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead, Madam Mayor. I'm all ears.
I believe that council members were provided two subject matter enclosed at the October 19th meeting. There's been a matter that's been tabled since the month of June, which has to do with the Human Resource Investigation CEO complaint unresolved. Subsequently to that, there was also a new matter that was brought forward in September, which was a new Human Resource Matter CEO. Now,
Right.
The confusion lies with the way that the agenda or the subject matter to be discussed or identified on the agenda. And I think I
without
brought that
speaking-
to your attention. If I may finish, please, Mr. Barbeau,
Sure.
without
I already know what you're
interruption.
going to say. Sure, go ahead.
So we're voting on the said resolution.
Right. Can I explain the
proceed
differences,
in
Madam
closed.
Mayor? Since it involves me, would you pay me some modicum of respect to involve me?
I do have
That a no,
respect for
Councillor
the
Lee?
CEO, but you know what? Also out of respect to members of council,
Oh, I just want to explain, Madam Mayor. If I just want to put something on the record, if you don't want it on the record, so
put
be
it on the record. Please proceed.
ma'am.
Put it on the record.
Right. So in May, I made a request to speak to council. That request, then, I have since said I've withdrawn that request because there's an additional or a change to the issue, which is now before you. So the original May issue has been now blended into another issue, and that's the issue that the Director of Corporate Services wishes to discuss with closed session. I won't be involved, but so it is the same issue,
Okay. And
but I'm not going to be speaking.
And out of respect to you, Mr. Barbeau, thank you for that clarification. Yes,
Thanks.
there was a memo
Thanks.
that was tabled pertaining to the HR matter complaint unresolved. Since then, council has been made aware that you have withdrawn your request to address council, and that is your privilege. However, council also has the privilege to be able to discuss that content. And I believe that if we make a comparison to the two matters that were listed on the October 19th meeting, there were two issues. And based on the issue of which matter has been tabled since the month of June. So if there's no further comments pertaining to the subject matter, I'm going to call it to a vote.
Excuse me, Madam Mayor.
Conseillère Lise,
I just need a clarification. My clarification, because he said now there was something, a withdrawal, de laisser aller, puis c'était fini, puis il y avait quelque chose d'autre, mais he used the word blend the two together. I don't think the two were completely separate. So tonight, if this is what I want to ask, is it blended or we're specifically talking about E? And I don't think that's what I heard. We're saying that it was blend, and you don't blend two issues, it's two separate issues.
okay, well, thank you. Based on what's being presented and what was said, it was blended, right?
I would suggest that you ask the Director of Corporate Services, who is leading an HR file, to direct you on this. And my strong recommendation, independently and impartially, is that you follow her directive as the head of HR. Thank you.
Conseiller Dan,
I was just going to make the point that what I wanted clarification on what we're going to vote on, but as the CEO just made the comment, I think what we should be doing is listening to Alyssa and finding out how she would like us to proceed.
and we got the information so far pertaining to what our Director of HR has identified in clarification from our CEO. Conseiller Dan?
Subsequent to that, during the conversation, Alyssa had her hand, Madame Craddock did have her hand up, so maybe we should go to her now.
I'll pass it on to our Director of of Corporate Services, to Ms. Craddock.
Yeah, I don't want community services. Yeah, I mean, the blended, not blended, I think we're just arguing semantics at this point. We have an issue that I need to speak to council about. It revolves an HR investigation and our CAO. However you want to call it, that's what we need to discuss tonight.
Conseiller Denis, Conseiller Lise, and then we're proceeding to a vote. Conseiller Denis?
I think the matter has just been clarified that we're not going to speak directly on the issue that was first brought forth about I don't know how long ago. Now we're sort of in a blended, and that's not what we have received in our package, and we should be receiving more information on what we're voting on before we do. So I cannot move forward at this point. Thank you.
Conseiller Lise?
Well, I wanted to say the same thing because it's very not clear to me that, the HR, there is something that need to be dealt. There's only a memo. We need to discuss that. I know it was retracted, but we have the right to discuss it because he had expressed himself on paper. And this is what we need to talk about. Yes, Madam Corporate Service was supposed to be there. Madam Alicia was supposed to be there. And right now I have the impression, and I'm sorry, I don't want to say that, how can I say that? You know what? At this point of time, I'm not comfortable because I think we got to get in and we got to get into a big battle because I will refuse to discuss anything that the memo will receive in May, that we brought it back in June and in July, that we've been accused that we did that delay on purpose. So that's the only thing that I will be discussing. So I'm not feeling comfortable. We need to have more information to make sure if I get something that's it only that we don't have anything. We had it received in the past. We did not this time. So I figured that we have it, but at this point of time, I cannot vote for that. It's too, I really feel deep down, and I hate to say that it's just a play of word that it seems that this council is getting really, really good at it, and I'm not taking any chance, and this is what's happening. So, and I have the right to not to vote no on
Okay,
something.
thank you, Conseiller Lise. Conseiller Leo, Conseiller Rowley, and can we proceed to a vote after the matter?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think there's an HR issue that was brought forward by Mrs. Craddock, and I think we have to deal with it. I don't know what we have nothing to hide, and we don't have all the information. And I think Mrs. Craddock would provide that information in a closed session. I think we should move forward. That's my point.
Conseiller Rowley?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. That's exactly what I was going to say. Mrs. Craddock has all the information, so why don't we just proceed and listen to what Mrs. Craddock has to tell us, and then we will proceed from there. It's closed session information, and she will provide us with all the information that we need to know, but we need to go into close to get there. Thank you.
Conseiller Dan?
Before we go to a vote, can you tell us what we're going to vote on?
On the resolution to proceed in closed.
Well,
that was read, and there was a mover and a seconder, and we have to adopt that resolution to proceed in closed. Conseiller Denis?
Yes, Madam Mayor, can Councillor Rowley say it in French now, please?
You know what? We'll be here till tomorrow morning if we proceed in that way. No, merci, Conseiller Denis, pour le point. So I think we basically.
Madam Mayor, I don't mind repeating it in French. If it appeases Denis, Councillor Denis, it would be my pleasure to repeat it in French.
Conseiller Denis.
To be fair, you asked Conseiller Sénécal to translate. Well, you translate also, if that's the way you're thinking.
Okay,
you don't have to go down that road, but just making my point. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
I know, and you were making a point regarding it. Conseiller Rowley, just say that, do you want to translate what you said in French?
Definitely, Madam Mayor. Mais certain, M. Denis, je veux être fair. C'est mon premier but d'être mon siège, c'est d'être fair. C'est que Mme Craddock elle a toutes les informations. Mouvons à huis clos et puis on va tout avoir les informations. On pourra avancer avec ça. Mais comme c'est là, on demande pour des informations que faut aller à huis clos pour avoir. So, c'est un mot de point. Avançons et puis on va tout avoir ce qu'on a besoin. C'est-tu comme ça, Councillor Denis?
Okay, so I think everyone had their say, and I just want to be able to have my say, final say, before I call it to a vote. I think that personally, as mayor, there's been a memo that has been shared to all of council pertaining to the HR matter regarding the complaint unresolved. And as identified this evening, it was withdrawn to be able to address council, but it doesn't take away the right of council to be able to discuss the subject matter of that memo before we discuss another issue that came forward. And based on that, I also will not support the resolution because I think I've been stressing the issue that there's two matters to be dealt with, and I would feel much more appeased to be able to deal with the matters as they came forward. So I'm going to call it to a vote pertaining to the resolution to proceed in closed, which the resolution was already read by our clerk. So who is in agreement based on the resolution that?
Madam Mayor, could I have a recorded vote on this, please?
Wait,
Councillor Duhaime,
No,
Councillor Fisher,
Yes.
Councillor Larrabee,
Yes.
Councillor Mallette,
Yes?
Councillor Rivera,
Yes.
Councillor Denis Senecal,
No.
Councillor Lee Senecal,
Non.
Mayor Savage.
no.
That is,
So, pardon?
the resolution is defeated.
Okay, thank you.
So, Madam Mayor,
The subject matter is closed. We move
No,
on to
not the subject matter.
unfinished business. Conseil Dan,
Madam Mayor?
Dan, we
Madam-
have voted.
Point of order.
No,
My
please.
point of order is the following, Madam Mayor, and you
Conseil-
have to listen to my point of order, Madam
I know,
Mayor.
Conseil Dan, I'm chairing. Just give me a second here. You raise a point of order. Please
Okay.
explain. Let me finish before
No, I should
asking you.
explain my point of order. I tell
Explain,
you what my point of
why-
order is.
explain what is the content of your point of order.
The content of my point of order is where do we go with the rest of the meeting? Does the meeting stop because we couldn't go into the closed session?
Okay, so that's not a point of order. This would be a point of clarification.
No, it's
The
a point of
fact-
order, Madam Mayor.
Jose Dan, if you
It's
keep
a
on
point of order. It's
interrupting,
the only
this is the last,
thing-
I'm giving you one
Are you
warning.
going to bully me again, Madam Mayor?
I do not bully members of
Oh,
council,
Oh,
Jose
come
Dan.
on, then.
And
Come
show
on.
a little respect towards the chair. The point of order is not a point of order, it's a point of clarification. Where do we proceed after
No,
the
it's a point of order,
resolution
Madam
for
Mayor.
closed session was defeated?
Your bylaws.
On procède avec le restant de l'agenda, Conseiller Dan. Et la prochaine item à l'ordre du jour is
Point of order.
unfinished business.
Point of order, Madam Mayor. Can I state my point of order?
Proceed with your point of order.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We did approve the agenda as presented when we first started the meeting. So why are we changing the format? We did approve. Mrs. Craddock even identified that we did approve the meeting when we started. And now we're voting again on it. This is ridiculous, Madam Mayor.
Madam Mayor,
I need to rule on the point of order of Conseiller Rowley. We
Madam
voted,
Mayor,
Conseiller Denis, just a second, please. We voted on the resolution for the agenda. We voted for a resolution to be able to proceed in closed. The resolution for the closed portion was defeated. Since we adopted the agenda, now we proceed to the next item on the agenda, which would be the unfinished business. And what I'm going to do, I will ask the clerk if this would be correct.
I would have to, honestly, I am not 100% sure, but I do believe that the time for asking for an item to be removed from the agenda should have been at the beginning. However, council chose to proceed to defeat the resolution, notwithstanding that it was accepted as the agenda was approved.
Okay, but the fact that the resolution was defeated to go into closed, we do proceed with the remaining of the agenda.
That's entirely up to council.
So then we should vote on it, Madam Mayor.
We don't have a resolution to vote on.
Well, council had already adopted the agenda.
That's right. And we were presented with a resolution to proceed in closed, and that resolution was defeated. So we don't go into closed, and then we proceed with the remaining of the agenda. So I'm trying to see, where does it state in the procedural bylaw that we do not proceed with the remaining of the agenda?
So we should be asking the CAO.
I'll say, Dan, give me a second to be able to chair the meeting. I saw the hand of our CEO, Mr. Barbo.
Are you asking me for an opinion, Madam Mayor?
No, I'm asking for guidance or information. Since we adopted the agenda, we defeated the resolution to go in closed. Where does our procedural bylaw state that we cannot proceed with the remaining of the agenda?
It doesn't. So when you adopted under section 30 a variation of the agenda, that was just approving a variation of the agenda, which the agenda was approved as such. When you so then the agenda is approved, and the first things on the agenda, I guess, is the closed session, and you defeat it. And so like any other resolution, then you move on to the next one.
Thank you so much. And that's what I've been explaining as far as point of order to Conseiller Rowley and Conseiller Dan. Thank you.
You're quite welcome.
On procède avec affaire en marche with unfinished business. And we'll need a mover and a seconder for E1 to sign the agreement for the municipal parking lot. Is there a mover and a seconder? Conseiller Denis, Conseiller Yvon.
It is moved by Councillor Denise Senecal and seconded by Councillor Duhaime. Be it resolved that the mayor and the municipal clerk be authorized to sign a license and indemnity agreement for temporary use of parking facilities with Bobby.
Are there any questions or comments? Aucune question, commentaire? Though anyone that is an objection, aucune objection? None? Carried, adopted. We move on to E2, the bylaw to amend the marriage license fee. Is there a mover and a seconder? Conseiller Denis, Conseiller Yvon.
It is moved by Councillor Denise Senecal and seconded by Councillor Duhaime. Be it resolved that bylaw number 2021-64 being a bylaw to amend the fees and charges bylaw and the marriage licensing protocol for the municipality of West Nipissing, shall come into force and take effect on the day it is passed.
Okay, before I call it to a vote, may I ask if Conseiller Rowley is still part of the meeting? I do not see him nowhere on the screen. And I don't know whether or not if he has any technical problem. And he did not ask to be excused from the meeting. I need some guidance here because I can't see it. Conseiller Lise?
Since it happened in at some point of time that some of us had problem with technology, maybe somebody could give him a call to see if he's can Madam Clerk do that? Try to call him and see if he's getting because he's usually it can happen.
Yeah, I will just go on mute and give him a call.
I can see at the bottom of this screen that there's 10 participants to the meeting, but I can't see who the participants are.
Okay, it's,
Conseil Alice.
there's Monsieur Poulain, there's Monsieur Barbeau, and there's Madame Alicia.
Okay,
Alisa, not Asha.
so we did lose one counselor.
Hello, Councillor Rowley is having some technical difficulties.
Pardon me?
Councillor Rowley is having some technical difficulties. He's going to try and sign back on.
Okay.
Shall we proceed?
I think we will proceed as long as we know that he wishes to come back on, and if unable to do it via Zoom, he has the capability of joining by telephone, which I believe everyone has the coordinates. Okay. Okay, so we move on to the issue of the resolution, which was read for the marriage license, which is an amendment to increase the fee to $150, which was previously discussed at council. Are there any questions or comments? Any objections? None? Carried. Adopted. The authorization to close the tax account of the Werner Case Populaire. We've had that on a few agendas, and I'll just pass it on to our Director of Corporate Services, Ms. Craddock, just to give us a quick overview.
So it's just that we used to maintain a tax account. We've got a few different accounts at the case that we still have. But we used to maintain this particular account for doing tax deposits from the Vernon Municipal Office. It's obviously been idle for quite a number of years. And when it goes idle, it actually kind of disappears and we have to call the case to bring it back. Eventually, banks actually kind of collapse idle accounts. So I'd like to close it before they do, and we'll just transfer the funds to our regular operating account.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments?
Oh, you need to make. She's clerk.
So I'm just going to ask for a mover and a seconder for the resolution. Conseiller Denis? Conseiller Yvon?
It was moved by Councillor Denise Senecal and seconded by Councillor Jahan. Whereas the municipality of West Nipissing currently maintains a bank account at the Verner Case Populaire for tax. And whereas the Verner Tax Bank account has been unused for more than 3 years, and the Director of Corporate Services is seeking council's authorization to transfer the balance from the Verner Tax account to the National Bank account, and that the Verner Tax Bank account be closed thereafter. Yet therefore resolved that council authorizes the Director of Corporate Services to execute any necessary documents required to transfer the balance from the Verner Tax Bank account into the National Tax Bank account as may be necessary.
Any objections? Aucune objection? None? Carried. Adopté. The next item, the bylaw to appoint a deputy treasurer.
Support OHIP for the eyes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, the next, sorry, I was jumping one. The support for OHIP insured eye care. Is there a mover and a seconder for that resolution? Conseiller Yvon, Conseiller Denis.
It is moved by Councillor Jahan and seconded by Councillor Denise Senecal. Whereas routine eye care is critical in early detection of eye diseases like glaucoma, cataracts, and macular degeneration, and the health of eyes is critical to overall health and quality of life. And whereas conditions that may be detected with an annual eye exam include diabetes, mellitus, glaucoma, cataract, retinal disease, amblyopia, visual field defects, corneal disease, strabismus, recurrent uveitis, which is an inflammation of the uvea, the middle layer of the eye that consists of the iris, ciliary body, and choroid, optic pathway disease, And whereas payments from OHIP have only increased 9% over the last 30 years, which has not come close to matching inflation costs, which includes staff, rent, utilities, equipment, taxes, and supplies. And whereas the lack of funding makes it difficult to invest in modern technology, and newer technology means earlier detection of eye disease. And whereas the provincial government refused to formally negotiate with optometrists for more than 30 years, has forced optometrists to absorb approximately $173 million annually in the cost to deliver eye care to Ontarians. And whereas the 2021 Ontario budget did not address OHIP insured eye care, Ontario optometrists took action and voted to withdraw OHIP services starting September 1st, 2021, unless the government agrees to legally binding negotiations to cover these services, at least the cost of delivery. And whereas this job action will jeopardize good eye care for those who need care of an optometrist, and most will have the greatest impact on the most vulnerable group, children whose lifetime ability to learn and develop depends on good vision, to the elderly who are at the greatest risk for vision-threatening ocular diseases. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the West Nipissing Municipal Council requests that the provincial government recognize the value that access to quality eye care brings to all Ontarians and act now to protect it, and that the Ontario government addresses OHIP insured eye care immediately and enter into legally binding negotiations with Ontario optometrists to fund these services, at least to the cost of delivery prior to any job action taking place, and that a copy of this resolution be forwarded to the Premier of Ontario, Ontario Minister of Health, MP for Nickel Belt, MPP for Timiskaming Cochrane, and the Ontario Association of Optometrists.
Discussions. Any comments? Conseil Lise?
I'm not sure I do. I don't understand. So let me try to see if I can summarize what I think is, because let's say they were paying $50. That was OHIP that was paying $50 for voyons, comment t'appelles ça, l'examination. And it's only increased 9% for the last 30 years. And so, and now they're making a stand that if they don't increase it, they're not going to do it or whatever. Or they just want her to put a little bit of, to try to support them and their request it to a price that it's more 2021 cost.
Yeah, that's it.
Well, that's basically a good summary, Conseil Lise. It really has an effect on the level of service because of the fact that optometrists are identifying that throughout the years, without the increase, they can no longer continue in providing the service at the contribution that's being provided by the province. So they're asking support from municipalities to assist them in getting the province to negotiate this quickly with them so they can reinstate that level of service. Conseil Lise?
So then when I heard that it's very hard to get an appointment those days, is it possible that I have something to do with that?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. I support it for sure.
So if there's no further comments, any objections to the resolution beforehand? None? Carried. Adopté. We proceed with new business affaires nouvelles. We have a resolution for the naming of municipal asset, the Sturgeon Falls Arena. Is there a mover and a seconder? Conseiller Yvon? Conseiller Denis?
It is moved by Councillor Duhaime and seconded by Councillor Denis Senecal. Whereas at the August 30th, 2021 meeting, Council for the West Nipissing Municipality enacted bylaw number 2021-58 for the purpose of commemorative naming of municipal assets. And whereas Council received a request from the Labbe family seeking the commemorative renaming of the Sturgeon Falls Arena, be it therefore resolved that Council authorizes the renaming of the Sturgeon Falls Arena to the Marcel and Jane Labbe Arena.
I believe the last time that we had the discussion on the subject matter, the Chair of General Government was going to communicate with the proponent that submitted the request, Ms. Diane Levy, and that was Conseil Alice. Conseil Alice, can you just give us an update pertaining to whether or not if you spoke with Ms. Leby and informed Ms. Leby of the intention of council?
Yes, I did spoke with her daughter, Monsieur Labé's daughter, and they were very, very, very pleased with that. They even thought to ask it, but they didn't want it, like, I guess, but they were very, very pleased to, and they accepted very with honor, they said, and I mean, it's a great honor for her mom also. So yes, they were in agreement with it for sure.
Okay, thank you for the update. Are there any other comments? Conseil Yvon?
Merci, Madame Mairesse. It's just to say that these two lovely people have taken their time, their free time, and help build the recreation facilities as they are today. They were very strong supporters, worked hard in selling tickets and promoting the recreation facilities. And I think it's an honor to see this happen to them. And I surely like to thank council for adopting this this resolution and putting their name on something that will be there forever, and recognize them for what they had done for this community. Thank you, Madame Mairesse.
Okay. Are there any objections? Aucune objection? None? Carried? Adopté? So it means that council, by adopting the resolution, will be renaming the Sturgeon Falls Arena to the Marcel and Jane Leby Arena. Conseil Alice?
Just a comment. I know that Monsieur Poulin will be looking into it. So maybe, do you have an idea? Are you going to do that, Monsieur Poulin?
As to when, no, we're going to have to basically look at the type of signage we're going to be able to put up on the arena and have it designed and manufactured and installed. So as far as timelines, we haven't particularly looked into it at this time. But now that council's adopted it by resolution, we'll certainly move forward with this.
Okay.
Can I ask another question, please?
Conseil Alice?
So, Monsieur Poulin, when you are the fact that, do you, well, anticipate anyways, planning something that people, they will be there when it's comment tu sais, dévoilé la pancarte, tout ça? Est-ce que tu planifies de faire quelque chose de ce côté-là?
Again, if that's council's wish, we can certainly have something planned. Madam Mayor, if you direct us to have an unveiling ceremony, we certainly will.
Okay. And if that's the will of council, I think it would be proper that something is being planned, hopefully in the near future. Okay, thank you. On procède avec le rapport de variance financier, the second quarter variance financial report. Is there a mover and a seconder? Conseiller Dan? I need a seconder. Conseiller Yvon?
It is moved by Councilor Revita and seconded by Councilor Jaheen. We have resolved that the 2021 second quarter variance financial report, April 1st to June 30th, 2021, for the West Nipissing municipality be received.
I'll pass it on to our Director of Corporate Services to provide us an overview of the second quarter variance report.
I don't really have much more to add than what is in the report itself. So, you know, as of June, we were certainly trending under budget. HR budgets are sort of driving things right now, and some of that is due to the length of time when COVID went on, as well as, you know, at what stage our recruitment started for some of those new positions, and some of the recruitment challenges we've had in actually finding and retaining qualified people for those positions that were created. Yeah, and just a little bit about timing on where things are coming. I think when you're looking at the statements, I think at that point, I told you that building and planning had a very strong start to the year. They have just had an overwhelming year. Great for the bottom line. Really challenging to manage the resources and stay on top. It has been an incredible year. But they, I think, had hit their revenue targets by July. So, you know, we're going to see a good part of the bottom line there, but it's certainly come at a cost for our staffing. And other than that, as of June, there wasn't a lot of capital that had started yet. Your third quarter, we should have out to you actually next go around, hopefully, and you'll see all the capital reflected in that time.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments?
Oh, that's good.
None.
Straightforward.
Conseil Dan?
I have a comment. Is everybody else's cameras freezing up? I'm losing half of the meeting.
Nope.
Again,
No, we do, as a consolation, if you want to know, we do see you and we hear you correctly. I don't know if you're able to see everyone, all the other participants during the meeting.
no, I can see the participants, but every once in a while it just freezes and I lose the whole gist of the meeting.
Okay, well, if I may suggest, if you do miss anything, if you can just raise your hand and I'll pass it on. Make sure that you have the opportunity to question if there's something that's being missed. So coming back to the second quarter variance report, yeah, I did see that there's on the last page, a strong start to 2021 for building and planning I'm not too sure if it's too premature to ask the question, but with all the activities that are going on with new constructions and the fact that we surpassed our targets in July, do we believe that if that trend continues, that we're going to probably have to seek additional resources in planning to meet the need?
We've been saying for a couple of years that oh, this is a bumper year. Oh, this is a bumper year. Oh, this is a bumper year. And each year seems to be a bumper year. Yeah, absolutely. Right now, I feel our planning and building department is understaffed, and it's something that we are going to need to look at with the growth that we have and with the complexity of files that are in front of us now as well. Yeah.
Okay. So it won't be a surprise once we get to budget, if things continue that trend, that there's going to be a request in budget for planning, which will be different than subsequent years. Okay. Are there further questions or comments pertaining to the report? None? No objections? Carried. Adoptee. Need a mover and a seconder for the resolution to appoint a deputy treasurer. Sorry, before proceeding to that, the reconsideration resolution pertaining to the no cut policy on Michaud Street. Is there?
I just need a seconder because the request for reconsideration was brought forth by you, Madam Mayor.
Okay. That would be Conseil Yvon.
It is moved by Joanne Savage, Madam Mayor Joanne Savage, and seconded by Councillor Duhaime. Whereas at a meeting held on May the 4th, 2021, Council defeated Resolution 2021-181, being a request from Danielle Primo and David Clark, seeking authorization for an exemption from the municipal no-cut policy in order to proceed with the installation of natural gas services to their home located at 228 Michaud Street in Sturgeon Falls. And whereas a request to reconsider this is being brought forward by a prevailing member of council pursuant to section 1711 of the West Nipissing Procedural Bylaw, be it therefore resolved that council authorizes an exemption of the West Nipissing no-cut policy 2009-268 in order to proceed with the installation of natural gas service at 228 Michaud Street in Sturgeon Falls, requested by Danielle Primo and David Clark.
Okay, discussion. Conseiller Lise, Conseiller Yvon.
Is I think that's what the person in question is hoping for. It's just that he's been giving the opportunity to the amount that it's cut that they have to put aside for the amount remaining, and like that's it's 5 year, and it costs $1,000 to the cut he have to give, not to give, but to put in, I don't know, you say that, $1,000 to the municipality. And if the damage is something happened before the time elapsed from the 5 year, let's say that the remaining on the cutting policy. So it's, yeah, to give permission, but I mean, he have to do like everybody else did that we had approved, and he was not offered that for whatever reason that it was forgot. Nobody thought about it, and that was I think the first one that was brought forward this summer or spring. So I think that's what need to be. She gave him the choice that if he wants to do it, and taking the bylaw that we have in place, that they need to put a certain amount, the same amount, equal amount that it costs to repair the road, and to be keep in, I don't know, I'm trying to find the
In
word.
trust.
In trust, if there's other damage that comes before it's time to repave it. So that's just to make sure that it's that, but we did approve, I don't know how many people after.
Okay.
And they had that applied, that part of the bylaw was applied to them, the one on Nipissing and Verder and other place in town. So it's only fair. It was I guess, forget, and was not done on purpose, I'm sure. It's just that not brought up when it was time.
Conseiller Yvon, Conseiller Denis, Conseiller Chris.
Madam Mayoress, the job is 99.9% completed. He's already has his gas brought to his house. So there's nothing to speak of. It's just the job is done.
And as point of clarification to members of council, that if gas was brought to the house and job is done, was there a no cut that was required?
No, because they proceeded from going to another street, Queen Street, and it cost them an extra close to $3,000 to do it. He had to pay an extra $3,000 to do it, or close to. So he wasn't very pleased about the subject, but he had no choice because he wasn't allowed to cut on Michaud.
Okay.
So that's not fair, because we allowed over a dozen people, and he had to pay extra monies to have the gas brought to his house.
Okay, thank you for sharing that information. Conseiller Denis, Conseiller Chris.
I guess it's, Madam Mayor, it's a new point now, but I did feel he was treated unfairly, and I would have voted for him. But like I say, it's a moot point, and good for him. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Chris.
So, so this one was a little different, and this is why it was turned down originally, because there was an alternate way of doing things. And even though, you know, some people get the short end of the stick, we got to look at these things individually, how far they got to cut, how much life's left on the road, et cetera, et cetera. So it's unfortunate in that case, but I don't think we made the wrong decision. Thank you.
Conseiller Dan.
So, Madam Mayor, I didn't hear the explanation by Yvon, Councillor Yvon. Did you say, Councillor Yvon, that it's a mute thing, that they ran the line from Queen Street instead? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that he went alongside of the road on Michaud and went into his house from there.
Okay.
And it cost him an extra $2,000, a little over $2,000 to do it.
You said initially 3,000.
Yeah, close to 3,000. I don't have the right amount, but.
Okay. Well,
we can't do it.
so in a circumstance like that, do we still need to proceed in voting for the resolution for a reconsideration? Because what we're told, really it's obsolete. The fact that there's no reconsideration at this point due to the matter being the work was done. Conseiller Lise, Conseiller Leo, Conseiller Burley.
Well, I just want to say that, I mean, the information was brought up and he had only to cut about the same thing that somebody had cut 2 feet, not even 2 feet, to have it, because they would go under it, and it was not, I mean, there were a lack of information to brought up. He was not able, obviously, to speak to it. And I mean, so I mean, there was it was the same request that we had a lot of people that did. And I mean, because they cut just a little bit and they can go onto the highway, the road, I mean, and it was not able, and you had to make other arrangement because winter was coming. And the last time I spoke with him, was about 3 or 4 months ago, and he had made the arrangement, and then we put we forward the request to speak about it. It's sad. It's the job is done, but I mean, I don't think at that point of time, we did not did the right decision, and I'm not blaming anybody. Maybe I should have said myself because I didn't think about it. I mean, do we have all the information we need? And what about the bylaw? And we talk about the bylaw the second time, about that portion, about that if they can do it, if they agree to put in trust the same amount that it would cost to repair the road. So just want to clarify that. That's it. But it's
Okay, thank you, Conseil Elise. Conseil Leo?
Yes, I think we should remove the resolution, Madam Mayor. I think we're talking that he's already got the gas in his helm. So I think it's a moot point, and I think we just move forward and just remove the resolution.
Conseil Rowley?
Well, what I'm getting is for this resolution, when we do make a decision on if we do cut a road or not, there is a few factors that we have to look at. Is when was this pavement done? I know a lot of the decision that we agreed was there was a couple of months left on the 5-year no cut policy. This road that is in question now has another 3 years left on the no cut. And also the other roads had 6 inches from the side that needed to be cut. This one here, you're looking at 2 feet minimum. So you're starting to get into where the traffic will drive on, and also the amount of traffic on that road itself. So these are all factors that factors in before taking the decision on if we allow a road cut or not. So if we're gonna say yes to after the first or second year that they're gonna be cutting, we might as well not have a no cut policy. And also one thing that did influence me on saying no to this is because there was another avenue that they could get their service from. So this is why I said no to this. So this is my position. Thank you.
Okay, but so far we've had all our say, and we received the correspondence from the actual resident voicing their concern, and members of council identified, exactly their position pertaining to a reconsideration, but we're not going to be voting on the said resolution because the actual work has been done. We're all in agreement with that. I see our clerk. You're on mute, Melanie.
The resolution was tabled and does need to be voted on unless 2/3 requested to be withdrawn and the mover.
Okay, so I'll proceed to ask to find out if there would be 2/3 majority that the resolution be removed.
Yes.
Oh, we have no choice.
Okay, but would need a mover to be able to consider that, Conseil Chris. So everyone is in agreement that the resolution be removed?
Yep.
Okay. A mover and a seconder for the next resolution to appoint a deputy treasurer. Councillor Chris, Conseil Leo.
It is moved by Councillor Fisher and seconded by Councillor Mallette. Be it resolved, the bylaw number 2021-72 being a bylaw to appoint a deputy treasurer for the West Nipissing municipality shall come into force and take effect on the day it is passed.
Okay, before proceeding to questions, I'll ask our Director of Corporate Services just to basically give us an overview. Like I think many of us do know the employee in question who's been working for the municipality quite a few years. Deputy Treasurer, is it a new position? Is it due to reorganization? I'll just pass it on to you so we can get that information.
It's not a new position. It's not ever been, it's not a standalone position. It's always a kind of extra duties to an existing position, or extra title to an existing position. So both this resolution and the next resolution are because we have a pending retirement coming. And in preparing for that, we're just sort of getting our folks back in order, so that we can continue to function in corporate services. So Deputy Treasurer, as you know, the person we're asking to appoint, Bridget Carrière, has been with the municipality for quite a number of years now. She actually was treasurer at another municipality before she came to us. She takes care of our ancillary services and will continue in that role. Like I said, it's not a standalone role, but does backfill on some of the HR stuff I have, and is backfills for my vacation and handles things in my absence, and just acts as a backup plan with the municipality.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions or comments? None? Any objections? Aucune objection? None? Carried. Adopté. Need a mover and a seconder for the resolution to be able to authorize signing of checks, notes, and documents, which is subsequent to the appointment of the Deputy Treasurer. Is there a mover and a seconder? Conseiller Leo? Conseiller Chris?
It is moved by Councillor Millet and seconded by Councillor Fisher. Be it resolved that bylaw number 2021-73, being a bylaw to authorize the signing of checks, promissory notes, and other documents for the municipality of West Nipissing, shall come into force and take effect on the day it is passed.
Are there any questions or comments? None. Any objections? Aucune objection? None. Carried. Adopté. Okay, we move on to the portion of Committee of the Whole, Comité Plénier. And the first committee on the agenda is Public Works, Travaux Publics, and I'll pass it on to the chair, Conseiller Yvon.
Merci, Madame Metis. As you have in your memorandum was sent to us by Sean Ramial, our tech manager for Public Works. He explains in this memorandum the roads, contents are Eugène, Comeau, Arbour, and Gérald roads. Eugène Road is deteriorating to more than it is expected. It is in dire needs of having something done to it immediately. So he's suggesting that we pulverize the worst section from Highway 64 to Rainville Road, adding Eugène Road to 202 capital works for brushing and ditching, followed by surface treatment in its entirety. Now, the pulverization section would need motor grader maintenance and the potential dust suppression in the interim. Now, we're getting near the end of the season, so I'm not sure if that would be required. But anyway, in the process, also the drainage of Comeau, Arbour, and Gérald would need to be evaluated versus Lake Nipissing's level. Now then again, what's involved with that is potential culvert resets, replacements, and roadside drainage ditch cleaned out. Now, he also mentions the repairs to Eugène Road Bridge were contemplated, and EXP recommended a full replacement of this structure. Now, the engineering cost alone is quoted at $98,000. And he's also saying that this required work can be added to the 2022 capital plan to discuss during budget deliberation. I'm not sure if Sean is with us this evening. I don't think so. But if there's any questions to be asked, I'll try to respond to them as best as I can. I'll go with Mr. Fisher, then Denise Senecal.
So I take it, my understanding of this is that the time-sensitive piece that we're talking about is basically pulverizing the worst sections so that they can get to the winter, and the rest of the stuff is really budget discussion for next year. Is that a good interpretation of what we're discussing here?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, so pulverize the road. I support pulverizing the road, do immediately what needs to be done. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fisher. Also, we'll go to Mr. Senecal and then Dan. Mr. Senecal?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just to remind everybody that I did bring it up to budget last year, so at least it's on the table now. I'm glad they put a petition in to advance their cause, and hopefully Jean to Rainville will be done before the winter, because the road is really bad.
Yes,
there.
and I agree.
And we'll have the rest at budget time. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So we'll go to Dan and then we'll go to Rowley. Mr. Dan?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So what we're doing here is we're just going to pulverize it. We're not doing no paving this year because that's going to be in next year's budget. And
That's
then we'll
right.
have to approve whether we're going to pave it or whether we're going to do the same thing we did with
Yeah.
Tabourin Road and Evansville.
That's right.
Okay.
When we pulverize it, Mr. Rivera, we can also grade it to keep it at a decent condition. So that's, right now it's pavement and we obviously can't grade it. We keep patching it, but it's patch over patch over patch, and it's in very dire need of being changed. So pulverizing it done now and maintaining the road with a grader for the time being. Now the winter months are going to set in, things are going to freeze up. So things will be pretty hard and solid for the winter at least. So that's how the road will be. Now, hopefully, as Mr. Fisher mentioned, it's a time-sensitive thing, and we hope that it can be pulverized as soon as possible. You understand that? By the way, we have that machine to pulverize. We do it ourselves.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay, Madam Rowley?
Thank you,
Please.
Mr. Chair. Yeah, I think I'm in agreement with having it pulverized. That way the road has a time to settle in this fall, and then with the amount of rain that we're having, I don't think that calcium would have to be an issue right now because of the amount of rain we're getting, and snow is just around the corner. So definitely that's a move in the right direction to have it all pulverized, have it shaped up. We've got tremendous grader operators that will do an excellent job on it, I'm sure. And then at budget time, we'll move forward. And one thing I would like to mention is there is a bridge in River Valley that's been posted for many years, and it's still posted. And so I would also like to bring this to the attention of council when it comes budget time. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Rowley. I think I suggest that you speak to Sean about this, and so that he can bring it forward with next year's budget. Madam Medes?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you, Mr. Chair, I want to say congratulate the affected residents for voicing the issues, their concerns with the road. But I agree with the issue of the pulverizing. But from what I read, we're not going to be pulverizing the entire road. It's going to be the worst section of the road where there's continuous patching of holes that needs to get done. But I do need clarification when it comes to the 2022 capital work project. Does it mean that we're just going to be doing the brushing and the ditching in 2022? Or will we be doing what will be requested is for the brushing, ditching, and doing hard surface treatment all in 1 year?
If time is permissible, if the weather gives us that time, I can see there's a possibility that we may move forward if we have the capability to do it this year with ditching and somewhat. But in general, though, jobs like this, we generally contract it out. But it would all depend on how Mr. Damiao wants to deal with this at this particular time.
Okay,
Because the weather things are freezing up now and
right.
conditions could be not favorable.
But I guess that maybe if I can rephrase my question, for those that are listening, I want to make sure that they don't jump to the conclusion that all the work is done in 2022, or is it partial work that's going to be done in 2022? That's where I'm seeking clarification. And I know that we're going to get whatever's being proposed for 2022, but from what I read here, 2022 will be for the brushing and the ditching to prepare, followed by surface treatment of the entirety. So it's going to be one big project for 2022?
Well, that's something, Madam Mayor, that we'll have to accept during the budget deliberation. But I assume that the project will go from Highway 64 all the way to Alouette. But that depends on how Sean wants to break it down.
Okay.
Yeah.
And subsequent, my last comment, which could be a comment or a question, when it comes to the bridge on Eugene Road, we, and maybe Conseil, through you, Mr. Chair, Conseil Denis, would be able to confirm, do we have one bridge only on Eugene Road?
Yes, we do.
If you have no objection, Mr. Chair,
I
can
think so.
Conseil-
I'm not sure, Madam Mayor. I think there's only the Red River out there. Is that the bridge we're talking
Well,
about?
It's a creek.
It's a creek.
Oh, okay.
I traveled that road millions of times.
That's a question for Sean, I think.
Okay.
Mr. Barlow.
And the reason I brought that up is because I do remember how much money we had invested in replacing that bridge, which the amount of money that was spent on the replacement at the time, which I say, maybe I'm off and maybe our CEO would know, that was like in the last 10 years. I wouldn't think that I would assume that a bridge would last longer than that. But I look forward to the info that's going to be coming forward at our budget deliberation.
Madam Chair, I'm going to ask Mr. Barlow if he has something more to say about the subject matter. Mr. Barlow?
We're talking about Liberty Creek on that road, and it has not been worked on in the last 10 years. So this is the bridge that needs to be repaired.
Okay, so it's not the same bridge that I or Conseil Denis are making reference to. The one that we replaced a big culvert and did a lot of cement work, which was a very costly investment and was to last for many, many, many years. Okay, so I got the answer to that question. Thank you.
You're welcome. So that I am completed my subject. Oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Rowley, did you have another question? And Lise. Rowley, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. I was trying to find my mute button here. For the question on how much work we're going to be doing next year, the usually pattern that we've always followed is we ditch and we change culvert 1 year, and then we do the paving the next year. So it gives a chance for the road to settle. And if there's any clay or whatnot that goes onto the road, we have time to care for it, to prepare it. And then the year after, we come in with a final coat and we do the top. That's the normal procedure.
Yes.
So that's to answer the question. And it is a wise way to do it. It gives a chance for the road to be prepared properly. If we do it all in one shot, chances are you'll be coming back in the near future, patching holes again. Thank you.
Thank you, Rowley. Lise et Denis Sénécal. Lise Sénécal.
OK. Moi, ma question, c'est parce que je vois qu'on a eu une quote, I guess, un prix là, pour le. Mais ça, c'était demandé puis ça n'a pas été dépensé. C'est ça que ça va coûter strictement pour les frais d'ingénieur l'année prochaine, comme si on parle de ça. Là. Pourquoi que c'est inclus dans notre chose ce soir?
Pour l'information, Lise.
Je sais pour l'information, mais pourquoi qu'on a besoin d'informations pour ce soir? C'est ça dans le budget, non? En tout cas, correct.
Yeah, okay.
I don't get it, but...
Denis Sénécal?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just to clarify here, I think we did as a council do one road, the ditching and the finishing in the same year. I think we did that last year. I'm just making sure before we get to budget that it's been done before, and we can maybe consider it for Eugene Road.
Yeah,
I can't remember, I guess somebody should know, or Sean would know, but I think Rolly would know what's the road that we did in one shot last year, or I'm not sure, just a heads up for budget. Thank you.
Mr. Barbo, would you have a comment on that?
Yeah, appropriate planning and ensuring that the life of the road has lasts a little longer than doing it in one shot. We've tried and endeavored to try and do it in 2 seasons, get the drainage of the road and the ditching, the slope of the road right, and then doing the actual road in the year after, letting it settle. Prior to, I'm going to say 6-7 years ago, we used to do them all in 1 year. So yeah, we do ditching. We would then put gravel on the roads and potentially pave the road. So you can do it all in 1 year. It's just advisable that you do it, that you kind of let the road settle, especially high traffic roads. So, if you're asking me, and I think we're all trying to play public works managers now, you're asking me if you got the early part of the prep of the road early in the season, let it sit, and then you did the road in the end of the season, you can probably do it in 1 year. But it becomes a budget discussion. And so it really, when you're looking at a project in isolation, you're going to have a lot of other issues that you're going to have to deal with to try and get your taxes down to 1% or whatever you want it. Yeah, if this is your priority and you want to do it in 1 year, you get it done in 1 year.
Thank you, Mr. Barbo. I agree. I mean, we're not all public work men, and what happens is when you dig up a road and these ditches have been done frequently on Regine, Blainville, and there should be very little to any brushing or very little of any work to be done. I travel that road all the time. And so it's Sean's, we'll have to investigate the situation and see how much work has to be done, and he'll present it at a budget meeting in the coming spring. Rolly, do you want to add something?
Yes, please. Thank you, Mr. Chair. No, definitely everything could be done in 1 year. What I'm saying is our usual procedure plus my experience in the road that I've gathered through the years working in that. We could just patch the road and then this year and cover it with new asphalt next year. That's done too, which would be cheaper. So. But what I'm suggesting, and I do support, is the way that the municipality is doing it now. It's a wise way to do it, and it's the best way. And the road will last a lot longer, a lot easier on our public works employee. So instead of patching that road, they'll go and do somewhere else. So it's a win-win situation doing it that way. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Madam Medes.
Yeah, the reason I brought up the issue is because I wanted to make sure that the residents who are reading the memo and listening to this meeting knew exactly what to expect for next year. Because the way I was making the interpretation is that next year, and maybe my interpretation was incorrect, was brushing, ditching, followed by surface treatment. So I think we're going to be waiting, like you said, Mr. Chair, feedback from our Public Works Manager to let us know exactly what's the recommendation for that area.
Yes, Madam Medes. I will speak to Sean Ramiel and ask him if he is able to pulverize it this year. And again, it's up to Sean who makes that decision pending the weather and time.
Okay. If I may I, Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Can we be notified via email if the pulverizing will take place this year? I think it would be appreciated because I do know that some people that have signed the petition, they do send some emails seeking additional information or pertaining to service requests to Public Works. I think it'd be great if we could all be notified if the pulverizing is going to take place this year.
I will do that, Madam Medes, and through Jay Barbo, and I'll ask him to make a report on his findings.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And there's still further issues pertaining to Eugene, Camo Road, Abbour Road, and Girard Road. I think it has to do also with the issue of speed signs.
That is not on my,
If you, if we just follow subsequent to the consultant report, there's an email that's addressed to the mayor and all council members. And that has to do with, here again, Eugene Road, Camo Road, Abbour Road, and Girard. And it was also part of the petition as far as information that was received. Oh, I believe you have it right there. No.
no,
That one.
no, it's not, there's no speed limit on this one.
No, it states, okay, if everyone follows, if I may, Mr. Chair?
Yes, please.
Okay, there's an email that says the residents of Eugene Road, Camo Road, Girard Road, Abbour Road and area have sent emails and phone calls to the appropriate area of the municipality office numerous times. We've signed a petition on behalf of the residents in this area. I, Chantal 5 Morin, who lives at 17 Camo, am requesting to speak at the September council meeting to replace the asphalt on Eugene, which we've dealt with, to have proper speed signs on Camo and Abbour Road, and to have the ditching done. So I'm just bringing up the issue of the proper speed signs on Camo and Abbour Road, since it wasn't part of the memo that we got. Is it possible that that issue also can be reviewed by our manager of public works and report back to council at a later date?
Yes, yeah. My assumption is that he received all this, obviously he put it in the package, so I will speak to him on that matter as well,
Okay,
through our
thank you.
CEO. Thank you.
We move on to general government, gouvernement général, and I'll pass it on to the chair, Conseillère Lise.
Merci, Madame la mairesse. Seulement que 5 items. La première, c'est it's a 2022 Roma conference, and we all receive a note that for the deadline to apply, which is Monday, November the 15th. The annual, I'm gathering that it's going to be online again this year. Yes, I see Madam Clerk saying yes. So the deadline, anybody that wants to go to register is November 15th. And if that's for the meeting with the ministry, if we want to make, do we have any issue that we want to bring forward and have a delegation? That's the word I was looking for, right, Madam Clerk? Am I right when I'm saying? Okay, so any comment from member that maybe we should send, ask for a delegation for anything specific? So, Madam Mayor?
What I can suggest is there's been 2 requests now pertaining to funding regarding infrastructure. If it may not hurt to be able to advocate, to be able to secure the funding for the proposed projects that were brought forward to council. That could be one issue that we should consider, and hopefully try to get the funding that's required to do the work.
Any comment on that? So because I think did you mention 2? I remember.
Well, there's one that was brought forward pertaining to from Mr. Carell and from our public works manager, which had to do with the improvement pertaining to the water distribution and the loop. And I believe that there was one that was also brought forward by our manager of Public Works also.
Or what? Do you remember? I don't remember that one. Anybody remember that one?
Well, funding, much of it.
Conseiller Dan, do you remember?
Conjoint funding there for the highway and the bridge.
The
Okay.
connecting link funding.
Okay. So who would be, who's participating anyways, and we part of the delegation, I definitely, I cannot do that, so.
Well, Madam Chair, first of all, we don't know if we're going to be granted a delegation. What we need to do is submit the
That's what,
request.
okay, yeah.
And
so-
then if we are provided with a delegation, then we can coordinate and proceed in attending the delegation and having the supporting documentation.
Okay, so does anybody wants a delegation? If somebody wants to do it, like, can we? So we need, it's not a vote because we're in a committee, but who's in agreement that we have a delegation? That's the question, so.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. OK. Alors, à ce point-là, qui organise habituellement quand il y a une délégation, puis qui serait prêt à participer à la délégation? Madame la mairesse, puis qui
No,
d'autre?
point of clarification.
Eh bien là, écoute, là, c'est quelque chose, OK,
Point-
go.
No, point of clarification. The clerk needs to know what request of delegation we want to do, so it's submitted by the deadline date.
Well, I
So-
guess it's to advocate for the funding that we had
That's right.
requested. So I think that was clear, and there's 2 requests, and that's why we asked if we want a delegation. So that would be the way you're gonna do the request, Madam Clerk? Yeah,
I'll have to find out, through you, Madam Mayor, I'll have to find out from Mr. Correll which specific ministry on the water loop funding. The other is the Ministry of Transportation.
Mhm.
okay. Okay, so then can start with that, and after that, how you gonna proceed when you're finding, because it's November the 15th, so gonna send an email, Madam Clerk?
There's a specific portal for making the requests, and we submit them through the Romas portal.
Okay. Conseiller Rowley?
Yeah, to maybe to clarify a little bit, usually, like it was said, the clerk will ask for delegation. And then if we are successful, then usually the chair of that department will assist in the delegation with the minister to advocate on behalf of the municipality. So that's usually why, it's very important that the chair of that committee be assisting, so, because he knows that file correctly. So
Well, I think,
clarify your point.
yeah, so thank you very much for your clarification, but I guess when the time come, I think it would have been noticed that noted duly that the chair should be participating to the process. I think it's, I don't think it's part of the process, but it's very normal, obviously, somebody's chair. But anyways, Mel, Madam Clerk, we're gonna let you do your job and.
figure it out.
Okay,
We'll figure it out.
Madam
you'll figure it
Chair,
out. Yes,
Madam
Madam
Chair.
Mayor?
I just want to highlight also that customarily, the chair of the department, along with the mayor and possibly other members of council that would be attending the conference, would be asked to be present for the delegation,
Well, and thank you. for
as done
clarifying.
in the past.
Yeah, and I think I'm under the impression that we can put our name forward if we want to attend something like that, a delegation. Okay, so yes, there might be like obviously public work if that's the case or whatever. But I mean, I think right now we're talking for too long for nothing, because we all agreed that we want a delegation, and Madam Clerk had agreed to do her work, and Councillor Rowley clarified that the chair and the Madam Mayor and anybody, so everybody's on the same page. So thank you for this one. So let's proceed to the draft. This one is, you had to receive it. It's a policy regarding le vaccin. Alors, vraiment important d'avoir une politique. On s'aperçoit que de plus en plus dans les organismes, les conseils scolaires, les hôpitaux, les soins à long terme, everybody is drafting their own policy. I think it's standard, but I mean, we have to adjust it to the municipality, obviously. Yes, Conseiller Fisher, I'm just doing a summary of that, and I'll let you speak, okay?
I just want to point out that it's 8 o'clock and this could go on for a long time, so perhaps we could.
Okay, so I almost did it before, but it's okay. It doesn't matter to me. So I guess you need a mover and a seconder to, Mr. Fisher, I guess, and supported by Mr. Conseiller Rowley and Councillor Fisher. So anybody opposing it?
It's moved by Councillor Fisher and seconded by Councillor Larrabee. At
Yes.
approximately 8:02 p.m., a motion was tabled for a 15-minute recess, following which the council meeting will continue.
Anybody oppose that? You oppose that? Okay, no.
All I wanted to say, Councillor Lees, is that I missed half of what you said, so I don't even know what we're talking about. What are we doing?
We're going on a break right now.
Okay, I'm going to try to log in from something else because this is, I can't follow the meeting.
Are you on your tablet or your laptop?
I'm on my tablet, yeah.
Okay,
So I'm going to try something else.
okay, thank you. You could attend by phone, Councillor Dan, if you want to.
So just a point of clarification, did we vote on the resolution?
I think, yeah, no, nobody,
Well, according to the clerk, she said no, so I just want to make sure.
There wasn't a
Because some
formal, there
people
wasn't a
have
formal
left.
call.
I had the question was asked, who's not in agreement, and nobody raised their hand, so,
Okay,
Okay.
That's
Okay.
that's the way I read it too. No objections.
yeah. there
okay,
you go.
that's okay. I just wanted to clarify, Madam President.
Yeah, and Councillor Dan had a question after that, had nothing to do with that, and we were talking about that. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Hi, Mel. Do
Hello.
we have the time that we're supposed to be reconvening?
Well, it's 17 minutes there.
Yeah, we should be back now.
We should be back now. Okay. So we're missing Conseil Alice, Conseil Denis,
Maybe 2 minutes.
2 minutes?
Yeah,
Okay.
it was about 2 minutes after, so. Yeah, no, we should be back now.
Okay.
I think everybody's back.
For the exception of Conseil Alice, the chair is back. So I'll pass it back to the chair so we can continue with general government.
Okay, like I was saying that, Conseil Dan, are you okay? Are you, you don't know? Okay, I was talking about the memo was sent by, our Director of Corporate Services, Madame Alissa, on March 11. Anyways, explaining the COVID, and like I said, most organizations right now have need or have a policy already about COVID for the vaccination, the 2 vaccines. So, Madame Alicia, can you talk about it a little bit? I know we.
Yes, thank you. So you did provide sort of the outline that you know, many organizations have moved towards vaccine policies, and we've actually you know, sort of kept an eye on what's been going on in the rest of the public sector and in the province and where they are. So obviously this is a, you know, a new thing. There's not a lot of history on COVID vaccine policies. The health unit, you know, our health unit, Public Health Ontario, provide a lot of guidance in developing policies. So I've used that guidance and then sort of vetted things through our legal to come up with a policy. And the policy is basically says that, you know, we're requiring our employees and our contractors that work with us to show proof of vaccination. Obviously, we always respect any human rights issues that may arise, and those are very limited in scope, but obviously we will respect any of those, and we've got sort of an accommodation plan for those that cannot be vaccinated, and we've got the deadlines for the rest of the staff to be vaccinated.
Okay, I'll go around a quick turnaround, Councillor Duhaime. Any question, any comment?
No, Madame Mayoress, I'm fine with the policy. Thank you very much.
Madame Conseillère will do, Monsieur Conseiller Duhaime. Okay, Monsieur Conseiller Fisher, you have any comment or question?
No, I just say I went through it, and I think you know, these things are hard button items for some people, and you got to thread the needle. It's one of those things. There's no win with everybody, and it looks to me like it threads the needle pretty good, and I can support it as is. Thank you very much.
Okay, Conseiller Larrabee.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and no comment at this time. Madam Chair, thank you.
Conseiller Mallette.
No, thank you.
Conseiller Revito.
Yeah, okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, may I ask a question
Yes, sure.
to Madame Craddock? So is this the carbon copy of the one that the municipality of North Bay has and other municipalities that deal with the QP and other unions?
It's not a carbon copy of North Bay's, but it is a carbon copy of a public sector one. Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so I have no issue with it. Thank you.
Conseiller Sénécal. Madame la mairesse, avant Conseiller Sénécal.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I do have a few questions. The policy applies to all employees. Does it also apply to all volunteers? i.e.
Yes.
for departments that depend on volunteers?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And I gather that looking at the timelines by which the first vaccine and the second vaccine needs to be administered, what happens after the timeline for the second vaccine, December 17th, if we do have a volunteer or we have an employee that does not meet that requirement and they don't have an exemption, does it mean that the person is going to be asked to stay at home?
So if you see in the consequences at the very end, it speaks to the consequences very broadly. But yes, in a kind of a rollout state that yes, they'd be asked to stay at home prior to moving towards any further levels of discipline up to dismissal.
Okay, so so if they don't comply and they're not exempted after that timeline, they're going to be sent home and they could be at risk of losing their job or being a volunteer to an effective department.
Yes.
Okay, and is it also going to be a condition of employment for new hires?
Yes, it already is.
Okay, thank you. Okay, and I guess the only other comment, as far as council members, are we going to be asked to provide a copy of our passport vaccine as well to make sure that it is on record?
Yes.
Okay, so if after the timeline of December 17th, if all members of council comply with the vaccination policy and staff complies with that, that means that we would probably be in a position that we can resume in-person meetings as long as we maintain the social distancing within the room that we would be conducting meetings, like i.e. council chambers.
The two things don't necessarily go together, but our CIO probably has a better response for that.
That's the two things don't go together. That's subject to technology and the wish of council as to how they wish to have their proceedings handled. So there's some variables that way. So theoretically, hypothetically, yes. It would depend on the specifics of what council requests.
Okay, is it possible that that request can be added to our next agenda, or does it have to be submitted as a formal request?
I would like after tonight to have everything submitted as a formal request, Madam Mayor.
Okay, we'll proceed in doing so. Thank you.
Merci, Madame la Mairesse. Monsieur Conseiller Sénécal, Denis.
I think Mr. Revita had his hand up. You want to deal with me first, or?
Okay, Monsieur. Okay, yeah, I'll go back. Sorry, I apologize, Councillor Dan. But he had his turn. He had his turn. So I'm going around right now, right?
You're the chair.
Okay, well,
Okay,
I
so
went around, so I'm going to ask after. It's your turn, Councillor Sénécal.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. And just saying that I agree with the policy. It seems to be pretty much of a standard policy, and we don't have much leeway with the Ministry of Labor. We have to protect the workers. So I think it's a good policy so far, and let's abide by it. Thank you.
Okay, so before I finish, I'm going to go back to you, Councillor Revita.
Okay, I'm not sure, Madam Chair, what I heard about what the mayor was saying, but I think she implying that there would be a motion that she would present on the table that we would return the table?
No, what the mayor was saying, that she asked if she can ask right now to put it on next agenda, or if she would need to do a request. And what the answer was from our CEO was said that he would like all the request, all by request. That's what he likes to have, to receive a request, and everything was okay.
And the request was what? Like it froze on.
Okay, sorry, Councillor Dan. The request, the talk was about that if everybody, because councillors, staff, volunteer, anybody involved with the municipality will have to have both their vaccine to be able to participate. So she said at that point of time, would it be okay to say that we got to start meeting together again, a chamber council, for example, and our CEO said that it will have to be a decision made by council, the way they want to proceed with that. And therefore, that's when she asked if she could ask to be put on the agenda for next meeting or a request, and he told her what he would prefer. Am I right that I did pretty good, Mr. Barbeau?
100%,
Thank you. So,
or 100%, depending on who you're speaking to.
yeah,
Okay.
well, listen, it's better than 99 or 90. So you got it, Councilor Dan?
Okay, so then we would have the discussion at the next meeting because it's kind of premature to go back to the table when all other
We will
municipalities.
have, the request will have to be put, and we'll discuss it when whoever decide to put the request on to be discussed by the timeline that it's identified in a procedure. So at some point of time, it could be next meeting or the meeting after, I don't know. We'll have to wait till the request is brought forward to the CEO. Okay?
Okay.
Clarify. Okay, my last comment, I appreciate, I think it's, we need to do that. I agree 150%. And about the policy, I do have a question, and is the consequence, employee who do not comply with this policy may be subject. I think I have a little bit of issue with me, because then, you know, it's not depending who and what. There's two conditions that you cannot have your vaccine, and it's if based on religion or health. I think it should say it will be subject to discipline up to dismissal. Yes, there's some that maybe have one and is waiting for a second one, whatever, but the may, you know, that mean, well, we'll see who's, I don't think it's appropriate in that case. It's, they will be subject or they will not maybe subject. So that's my issue about that word. I think, so I'm gonna go around. I think Madam Mayor had his hand and Councillor Rowley had his hand after that.
Okay, I want to discuss the issue pertaining to the consequences to make sure it's clear, but I did have another comment that I just want to clarify if I can. Does the policy also applies to boards of the municipality? I'm aware that the library board has adopted their own policy. Will this also govern the environmental services? Because there's a board and the employees that are governed under that board, do they fall under this policy or do they have to adopt their own policy?
Monsieur Barbeau, you have the answer to
Yeah.
that?
When you have a separate corporation, they're a separate employee. And so if this is a policy of an employee policy, I don't think you can have a wide ranging effect, and I think it runs an issue. And so when you also have rights of grievance in collective bargaining, what you have is a union that is one party to an agreement, and West Nipissing Environmental Services is another party to an agreement. So what I would recommend is that the policy be adopted by the boards under which the board controls, or council, you know, the council's controls.
Mhm.
But I don't believe that a wide-ranging policy at council has a legal impact on a corporation that has its own legal standing.
Okay, but I do appreciate the comment that there's going to be recommendation to those boards to also adopt the vaccination policy similar to the one of the municipality. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, we have a tendency on all of our companies, including back in the day with the police board, of trying to mirror municipal policy. So, you know, it would be a very strong exception whether one of our boards disagreed with general policy, because what we want in the community is consistency.
Okay, and my final comment, Madam Chair, I agree with what you made reference that employees who do not comply may be subject. I've been preview of other policies with other organizations in West Nipissing, and it was quite clear in the policy that if they did not comply to the policy and were not able to provide an exemption, that it wasn't a question of may, they would automatically be sent home, and that it could lead to losing their job. So I think I want to make sure that I understand it correctly, and to avoid confusion, I don't know if that is subject to being amended to make it clear and known to the policies, to the employees, to the volunteers, and to the people to whom this policy affects.
Hey, Madam Mayor, I think, yeah, I really feel strongly about that because it will avoid confusion and say, well, the may and to be challenged. And then after that, it might be viewed that if somebody, you know, a small community, somebody said, oh, I got away with it. And, you know, they say, okay, how come you got away with it? I think it would be straightforward. They know about it, like Au Chateau Hospital, it said, like, look at what's happening, how many people are losing their job. The may, for me, so I don't know what the rest of the member thinks, but I'm going to go around and see, like, how do you feel about that? Because I think it's very important. So I will start again with Conseiller Duhaime. What do you think? Do you think that it would be more appropriate, not appropriate, ça sonne pas bien, là, mais ça serait mieux it would be better to delete the may and ask and put will, and maybe staff have something to say about that. Madame Elisha, Monsieur Barbeau, I will start with you, Madame Elisha, like, did you, where you got this policy that was what they were using?
Actually, I'll let Jay speak to the difference between the may and the will in kind of how we legally manage things.
Okay, Monsieur Barbeau.
Thank you for throwing me under the bus, Ms. Craddock.
Or not.
So the difference between may and shall as a general thing is that in law is that one of them gives you an option. The other one means you got to do something. So the shall is you got to do something. So if you switch it from a may, then you're getting automatically into a disciplinary procedure, which is a disciplinary procedure there. So when you start talking about a shall, the only out that you have, and now I'm giving information to everybody, but the only when you have a progressive discipline thing up to and including this termination, you can do whatever. So the only out you would have with shall right now is if your bottom point is education. Shall provide education as the first step in a disciplinary procedure. I don't like education and discipline. Education should happen anyway. So that's why Elisa is putting the may, because she's not leaving herself open to perhaps a case that she may not be able to win if there are exigent circumstances. Does that answer your question? Do you understand the answer? Does that answer your question?
Are you talking to me, Mr. Barbeau?
Shall is you have to, may is you might.
No, but shall, it's a will. I think will.
But what if there's an issue you haven't foreseen that allows for not instituting discipline, and you put the word shall in? So the issue is that may allows you to institute discipline, but if there are those occasional times where it doesn't warrant it, you may not have it. Now, I understand your point where it leaves a certain amount of discretion to the manager in how they handle cases, but they already have that discretion anyway. So I get what you're saying, but if you put shall, you might be raising throwing a harder shot to say, hey, if you don't do this, we're going to fire you. Now, I know there's some labor oriented people in the room. You do that to a organization, that raises their back. The may, okay, we're going to let that one go. So it's just a very harsh, if you don't do what we tell you, we're going to fire you.
But I mean, Monsieur Barbeau, you know that like the hospital, there's no, they're sent home. They're sent home.
Yeah.
That's automatically.
Yes. And the hospital and the Au Chateau are two healthcare agencies. We offer similar or like services to a variety of different user groups. And so I totally agree that you have to have a hard line on the Au Chateau. I mean, you don't want to have workers, that are going to kill your parents, or, and likewise anybody in a hospital. But with a municipality who serves the public, we should also kind of be at the public's wave, you know what I mean? And so you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get what you're
Okay.
saying. I think it should be more stricter than that, but like I said.
Okay, no, but I mean, if council
Yeah.
wants it to be shall, it'll be
Yeah.
shall. It just,
No.
it's more subject to challenge.
Well, yeah, everything is subject to challenge one way or the other, even if you see that
We
they
try
might
to minimize
not.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I think they're very clear. My point right now is they're very clear that, I mean, only religion and, well, I forgot now, religion and health. That's the only reason that somebody could not get it. So I can understand that somebody said, I'm having.
Point of order, Madam Chair.
Yes, Councillor, it was my turn to talk. I'm the last one to speak, and I'm taking other question because I've been nice, but it was I could not conclude this. We're asking question, and I brought it up. That was my turn to talk. So what is your point of order now?
You said you were gonna go around, and I wasn't asked. And
No,
then
I'm
you're-
not finished either, because I was having a discussion with
Well,
the
being
CEO
chair,
questions.
being chair, you open up the discussion and then you close the discussion, not in between.
Oh,
I
well,
haven't
excuse
spoken
me,
yet.
the next time, okay, time out.
Thank you.
I will continue because that was my turn, and I was the one that asking the question, and I'm gonna open the floor for more questioning because there's a few hands that's been up. So, I mean, you can challenge it if you hit under where that it say, I'm the last one, I spoke, I asked a question, and I was having a nice discussion with our CEO. I understand, you understand me, and I don't understand your point of order because it was a discussion. I have my answer. Thank you, Councillor Rowley, and duly noted, okay?
Well, thank you.
Duly noted.
Madam
So
Chair,
now I'm gonna go back to Madame, our chair, which I will let her speak even if we're finished. I will let her speak. So Madame Alicia, can you speak, please?
I just wanted to add to, Mr. Barbo's comment on the may and the shall, and to perhaps alleviate some of your current concerns, because you had mentioned the hospital and the chateau and the action that they are taking. I actually have the hospital policy, and the hospital uses the word may as well, for the very same reasons that Mr. Barbo outlined. It doesn't mean that we can't get to the end stage of discipline. It just provides that little bit of support if we ever end up in a legal discussion about it.
Thank you very much. Now I'm gonna go to Monsieur Fisher because it was before anybody. I think he's the last one, as a matter of fact.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think it should be kept as is, and the reason being is it gives us wiggle room from an HR perspective. We've got hard and fast dates in there that say if not vaccinated by such and such, you could be terminated. We don't want to be saying shall. You could have a family emergency the day you're supposed to get vaccinated. There could be all kinds of unforeseen things that we don't know about. Let's just give ourselves wiggle room. It just makes sense. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So obviously, this is the way it's going to be going, and thank you for the insight and the clarification and the explanation. And again, thank you, Councillor Rowley, to tell me how to chair a meeting. So like I said, duly noted.
You're welcome anytime.
Yes, yeah, anytime, and I'll remember that anytime too, okay? Now number G2C, new optional.
Madam Chair, I think some people still wanted to talk on that issue. No.
Well,
but
we'll
I saw-
ask what I
saw
should
some-
do, Councillor Rowley, what I should do, let everybody talk again, or is that
Yeah.
okay?
Yes, for that last
No,
section.
I'm asking the person that tonight is telling us the way it should everything happen, so Councillor, I'm listening. No, well, Councillor, about the chair going
Well,
to.
thank you
you.
for asking me. Thank you
Okay.
for asking me. I feel very important.
Yes, or you are.
Actually, it's the mayor that asked you the question, not me. So I think you should direct the question to the
No,
mayor.
no, she asked me the question, but I said I want your direction because you're very, very smart.
Well, you should know the direction. Just follow the arrow.
Oh, there
Okay.
you go. So I should know the direction, then you should know that I was able to talk. So Madame la Maire, what did you say? Did you add a question? Or
No,
other
I think,
people?
I think there was the comment that we go around and that everyone would have their say pertaining to
I
that
went
kind of.
around, I was the last one
Okay.
to speak. So I can go around again, but I was the last one to speak and I asked that question at that time.
OK, mais
So-
c'était juste le fait de le may or le shall.
Yes, and it's finished. That's why I'm saying, and we all have our turn and more than that. So I'm okay with that. So thank you. That's why I'm going to the next one. And
So
it
it's-
said the may or shall will remain the same because it's used somewhere else. So I can ask people if they want to, the may to remain. Any objection that the may remain? Oh, God. So one objection, so that's it. It's remain.
No.
Okay, so
OK,
I have the question, any objection that the may remain, and only one objection, so it remain. So I'm going to the next one, G2C, new optional small business property subclass tax. Again, we had information about that, and I'm sure you're gonna have a nice discussion about that. So I will leave that. I'm trying to find the memo. I think again is Madame Lisa, you're very busy tonight. So, and it's regarding something that the province wants to establish. It's regarding a new, what they call subclass. I'm trying to, yeah, a subclass for small business. So could you talk about it, please? And I'll open the floor after that for discussion.
Yeah, so I was looking for to see, whether this was an idea that council wanted to entertain. If you took a look through the MPAC package that was attached separately with your agenda stuff on Friday, you can see that it's quite an involved process. But the province created this subclass of property taxes that municipalities can opt into. So municipalities don't have to do this, they don't have to participate, but they've got the choice of opting into the subclass. It can provide up to 35% reduction in municipal portion of taxes, not necessarily the education portion of taxes, for qualifying small businesses in the municipality. And there's where all this, the work then starts. So if the municipality wants to undertake this, then there has to be some consultation with the community. There has to be some discussion on policies, on how we define small business, on a system of making sure that small businesses retain from year to year. They have to sort of continue to prove that they are small businesses, whether the landlords are transferring it through to tenants, how people can appeal it, who's managing it. And so there's a lot of steps that need to go on. So I thought I would, and part of that is in also how to fund it. So, usually when we have our discussion at budget time and we talk about tax rates, and we say, okay, we can change the ratio on commercial 1%, and what does it mean to everybody else, and that kind of thing. So municipalities would have an option of saying, okay, if we're going to give this discount to this many businesses, then it's going to have this much of a tax impact. Are we going to go and get that from everybody else? Are we going to go just get that from the rest of the commercial class? And so we would run some scenarios for you and show you what it looks like and what the possibilities are. And we have to do all this groundwork for council, so that before we get there and sort of get into it, I wanted to introduce the idea to council, see what council thought of the idea, and where we're going to go. Like I said, it is fairly brand new. They brought it out at the kind of mid-year. We were just at the point of setting our tax rates. Most municipalities are kind of still just looking at it. No one has really jumped on board yet, but it is very brand new, and it certainly is going to have different financial implications on a municipality with a large commercial sector compared to ours, which is about the small business, like just a smaller commercial sector, but they are most likely a majority small business. So I just wanted to bring it to council's attention and see if you were interested in entertaining this idea, then we would go and start the work.
Okay, thank you, Alicia. Before I go to the question, if we are interested, maybe I'll go around to see what any comment or any question that you might be able to ask. Like you said, it's new, so, but I'll go, Conseiller Join.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's certainly something that I would be interested in looking at. I think it just gives these small businesses an opportunity, and I realize the amount of work that's involved. Sometimes, as Madame Craddock has mentioned, lowering the rate for commercial would have been easier. But yeah, it is something that I'd like to look into, or like to have staff look into. It's certainly appealing for small businesses. That'll help them considerably. So yes, I would agree. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, so Monsieur Conseiller Fisher.
So yeah, that's a big package. It was complicated stuff like to get through. So I guess my question would be, we'd have to understand how this is gonna, like, somebody's paying somewhere. We lowered some taxes, somebody else is paying that money. But then there was stuff about education tax that, like, did I read that correct? That they would sort of make up they would lower residential education tax in order to help. There's stuff in there that I really don't get. So so on principle, if we can lower small business taxes but the average homeowner isn't paying for it, and that's made up some way, then I'm all for it. And this is not the decision I would make tonight. I would just say, yeah, come back with some exploratory stuff and give us some scenarios and help us absorb all the things that we would need to do. And certainly let's look at it, but let's not commit to anything. Thank you. Oh, and I guess in there was a question for Ms. Craddock, but the whole education tax, are they giving that back or?
So the education tax, it is a bit muddy. It is, so right now the province is reviewing municipalities, or what they're saying they're going to do is review municipalities on a case by case. So if after, and I agree, we're not committing to anything tonight, but if after, all the scenarios and you've got it in front of you and council decides to go ahead with the small business reduction, we then package up our entire proposal, including what we think the outcome is going to be for our small businesses and how much of a benefit it's going to be for our small businesses. We hand it off to the province, and then they then take a look at, well, do they think that they're going to offset the education portion in our municipality as well? And yes, they are saying that they're going to not increase taxes in another area to make up for the income that they're going to lose in education taxes through this program.
So through you, Madam Chair, can I just follow up to that?
Yes, sure you can.
So, Ms. Craddock, from an economic standpoint, it would be if we got ourselves into a position where actually we're sort of being offset on some taxes from the province, and we're lowering small business taxes, and there is no pain. Economically, West Nipissing is ahead, essentially, if we got there, right?
So the province kicking in part is only on the education, so that's not something that we see anyways. So it is going to be some amount of pain, if you want to call it that some amount of revenue that needs to be picked up across the entire group, across commercial. There is some portion of revenue that's going to need to be accounted for. Yeah.
Right, but there is a windfall in there that, like, because the tax, the bucket of tax money is the same amount, but if there is input or they're lowering one section of it, we are, to my mind, we're ahead, sort of. Okay, fine. I need more. I need to understand it better. I need more information. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. And yeah, let's explore it more, is my opinion. Thanks.
So you're saying that you would like more information, and we can make a decision after? That's what you're saying?
Yeah, we need more information. I think so.
Okay. Conseiller Manette. Larrabee. Oh my God. Sorry, I apologize. Conseiller Larrabee, your turn.
Thank you. I forgive you.
I'll sleep well.
Oh, I'm sure. No, I would also like to have more info on this because usually if you take it from somewhere, somebody else suffers. So, and if it's not on homeowners' back, It's looks appealing, but I would definitely want more info on this. Thank you.
OK. Conseiller Mallette maintenant.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, the same thing, and it's scary stuff sometimes when the government is asking municipality to do something, and I'm sure it's going to be an onus on the municipality to provide legwork to do that, because we need an employee to look after the businesses and the tax wise. I don't know how we're going to do it, but it's scary stuff. Because somebody has to pay. If you save 35% on one time, one place, then somebody else has to make up for it. So, yeah, we need more information on it. Thank you.
Merci. Conseiller Revida.
I don't see this as being a cost neutral thing. The way it's presented, it's so mucky in the sense they say that you get some education, but you won't get it. And then it talks about small business being 100 and less employees, while all our employers are small businesses. So I'm scared that, well, like Councillor Mallette was saying, somebody else will have to pay for it. And if we give a 35% tax decrease to a business person, it'll have to come from somewhere. And if it has to come from a residence, that's not right either. I saw it more as, and correct me if I'm wrong, Madam Craddock, isn't this to stimulate the downtowns that are having major problems? Like, I mean, the downtown business section, where basically they need a little bit of relief, and that way the downtown business sections will thrive. Isn't that the bottom line behind this?
So that's where some of the policy that would need to come in, and some of that scenario analysis and stuff like that would have to happen, because they're allowing municipalities a lot of flexibility, so that it can very broadly be, you know, small businesses, less than 100 employees. It can be that, no, actually, we are going to focus this on this geographical area, and, you know, the incentive is for this geographical area, like a downtown, and the small businesses that are within that area. You know, the municipality can actually even make it, you know, it doesn't have to be, the municipality can say it's, you know, employers with, you know, revenue less than X amount, or with square footage less than X amount. There's a lot of flexibility with that. Certainly it does seem like some of the intention is that there is some ability to do downtowns. There is some ability to do it as transient as well, that it's in a response to specific economic events that go on as well. So that's, like I said, where some of that policy comes in, as far as what, and the consultation, you know, with the stakeholders, what needs to happen or could happen, and what the potential drivers or what the potential results of you know, offering an incentive program is for small businesses within West Nipissing, and what it looks like here. Did I answer your question at all?
Conseiller Revida. Oh, I think he's frozen. His eyes is closed, and I know he's
Yeah,
not.
he's frozen. I can
Okay.
Can I ask a follow-up question?
I will after. I'm going around, so it's up to now. It's Madame la Mairesse. We'll go back to Councillor Revida after. Are you there, Councillor Revida? No. So Madame la Mairesse, s'il vous plaît.
Thank you, Madam Chair. In principle, I would say yes. But then on the flip side, when I read the information that our Director of Corporate Services provided, this is an exercise that's going to be very time consuming, pertaining to doing the analysis and also adopting a policy. Where I stand is, if there's going to be a relief to small businesses, it would not only be small businesses in the core downtown. It would need to incorporate all businesses, small businesses that fall within the definition of the policy that are within West Nipissing. And as stated, if there is a reduction in municipal taxes, well, at the end of the day, your budget line, you still need a certain amount of budget. So you're going to have to get that money from another class. And customarily, if there's any shortfalls, as far as decrease with our ratios, well, then it does affect the residential rate. Is that correct? That's how we've always done budget in the past. So if we decrease a class, well, then that money needs to be recovered through another class. I'd be interested in finding out what would be the impact towards the other classes if we adopted such a policy. But I also want to hear from staff how much time is going to be involved in the process. And I also want to put it on record that I would not support it only for a specific group of small businesses. It would have to be all small businesses in West Nipissing.
Okay, thank you very much, Monsieur. Dan, are you back, Conseiller Dan? Okay, so I'll go to Conseiller Denis.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, the way I read this is that the government is not giving us anything. They're going to give us a portion of the education tax, but the rest, we're not receiving any monies for this, except for the education part. And we don't know how much, but what we're seeing is just the diversion from one group to the other. So our residents will have to pay more tax to balance the budget. So, if you give to one, you got to take from the other. So I don't think we really need this, because if we do it during budget, we can always adjust the commercial rates to adjust the taxes there. But to have this, I don't know, it's time consuming, and it's, I don't know if it's worth it. But I'm leery of this issue. I'm not ready to go there. And if staff wants to spend a lot of time on this, that's fine, but I wouldn't agree with that. But I think we should do it at budget time, and if we want to adjust the rates, we do it ourselves, and we don't have to have all this government intervention, because it's not going to affect they're not giving us any tax money. They're just going to give us up to 35% for education, which is useless to us, right? So anyways, that's pretty well what I hope my message is getting through here, but that's what I think. I think it's just a waste of time. But anyways.
Okay, so what I'll do is I'll make my comment, and after that we'll go around and see who's in agreement to look into it, because I think that was the question to start with, that Madame Alicia was asking direction to if they could pursue. So my last comment is it sounds really good to a certain point. My second one is I do agree that if we apply to small businesses, it's across West Nipissing. There's no two way about it. I mean, the downtown core is very, very important, but you have other business in West Nipissing that are very important also, and small business is small business. So it applies across the board. And my question goes to Madame Alicia, I mean, are you ready to take that up? Because it could be, we don't know. It's not clear. So what I heard so far, we need more information, obviously, because it's not clear, but what do you think?
So, the concerns that the councillors have raised are valid, in that, at any point where you give a reduction to one group, it's going to have to be funded somehow. You have a bit more flexibility in how you fund this, because you can apply it over across the entire tax base the way we usually do when we're talking about raising ratios up and down. You can also, apply any changes in commercial just against the commercial category. So if there's small businesses within the commercial that they get this discount, then the rest of the commercial, presumably the medium and large businesses, are picking it up. To Councillor Revita's point, a lot of our business is small business. Really, it isn't. There's without doing the analysis, and without sort of seeing it unfold, what the actual economic impact of this might be, I couldn't even tell you whether it's how much of a change it might make to economic development or economic survival within West Nipissing. So I know I'm certainly hearing some concerns here, and I think it was Madame Mayor's point, about how much time it's going to take. It's going to take a lot of time. There's certainly a lot of work. It's not something that we can, get back to you in December and have an answer for you. There's going to be a lot of time that we need to go in, and council's going to be involved at various different stages along the way at what policies look like and what consultation happens and things like that. To those that have concerns to the point whether we can actually achieve more by doing a 2% reduction across all of commercial tax, whether that actually gets us further or not, those are still tools that you have available to you.
So it would be fair, is it fair to ask you that maybe you don't know, Madam Alicia, but if, do you think that if we can wait about that to see if there's other municipality that's doing it, and then we will have something to compare to? We don't have to do it right now. So without doing a major analysis, maybe try to get a little bit more information about other municipality that, because I think you mentioned that some municipality have done it.
So most people they've spent this year doing some of that research. So I think we'll start to see some of those policies appear.
Yeah. And do we have a deadline to do that, or we can do that like next year for the prepare ourselves to do it at a later time?
We can do it at a different time. When you see it, it talks about a deadline of actually October 31st, but the October 31st deadline is just if you want to capture people with MPAC's final role. If we got a policy that came in place in August, then we just start running it in August and things like that. So it's not that we have to put anything in place right now. No.
Okay. So by saying that, I'm not going to go back around because I said so. I was the last. I want to make sure that I'm the last to talk. I'm just going to go around, said who is in agreement that staff look for a little bit more information, but we cannot expect to have that in place by December. And then after that, we can make, so who's in favor for staff to do maybe a little bit more research? Not a big analysis, but to look at what's going to happen to other municipality. So who's in favor of doing that? Okay, I think
Just to clarify, staff is just going to follow up with other municipalities at a later date. Okay.
Okay. Fair. Okay, that concludes this one. Now I'm going to go to another biggie. Discussion for 2022 municipal election against, I think this time though it's Madam Clerk that did the memo, and there's a few recommendations. So I'll let you talk about it, Mel, to do a summary because there's about 7-8 pages. I know what you want to do. It's a vote to see if we want to go with a vote by email or internet and telephone. So can you just go and discuss further, Madam Clerk?
For sure. Thank you, Madam Chair. And first of all, thanks you to everybody for staying with me. This is while everybody else is, elections are far away. We clerky nerds are, getting ready and securing suppliers and moving things forward because it is a really big job, and there's a lot of work to do ahead of time to be ready for the deadlines that the province has set down. So I think my memo was fairly exhaustive in its analysis and the information that I provided. I tried to make sure that I let council know, what the options are, the pros and cons, the costs, where other municipalities are going, concerns, obviously the whole COVID situation, although, we can certainly hope that it's going to be resolved by next year. There are no guarantees about anything, as we thought it would be done by Easter the first year, and that didn't happen. In any event, obviously my recommendation is that we, like many other municipalities, move to an electronic platform for elections. It's reliable, it's proven, it's significantly less expensive. And I think that the last couple of years have shown all of us that we can do things electronically that maybe we thought in the past were scary or intimidating. And, nursing homes now are full of grandmas with iPads, and people are a lot more embracing and accepting of electronic. The other thing that it is removes a lot of the issues, human error, mechanical failure, For those who were in the room last year, you'll recall we had a bit of a hiccup. And, not the other thing is we've used vote by mail very successfully for a number of years, but it is, as I pointed out, is labor intensive and it is very wasteful. Natural resources are being wasted, with numbers, hundreds and hundreds of ballots being chucked in the garbage by those who don't return. But I'm open to any questions anyone has with regard to what is being presented. Obviously, my recommendation is that we move to electronic. I actually received a quotation today, the quotation that I was waiting for because I was basing it on an estimate. I estimate without HR of any kind, electronic will be probably, an HR is a big ticket item, will probably be about $25,000 cheaper just for the costs, for the ballots, for the mailing, like for just the raw costs of the election, taking out the people. But anyways, I'll stop and open to questions.
Okay, I'm going to go around starting with Conseiller Duhaime.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have questions and I have concerns with the way electronics and telephone would operate, and I would prefer mail in and status quo on what we've been doing in the past. I realize it's a quicker way and less costly, but I think we should provide the people the opportunity of doing what they did in the past. There's still a lot to learn about the electronic part of it, but telephone, no. So that's how I feel about it. I'm an old school and I'd like to remain that way if you don't mind, but I like mail-in ballots. Thank you very much.
Okay, Conseiller, well, we'll go after, for the recommendation that mail provides. So it's going to be just the one question for everybody, okay? So Conseiller Fisher, where are you?
I'm all for moving to electronic telephone and the internet. And I think for some of our areas, specifically 5, 6, and 8, we have a lot of residents that have properties. They're not permanent. They're packed up and gone by October. Gives them the opportunity to vote. It also, one thing you want to do in a democracy is increase the number of voters that you get, and that will make it much simpler for people to vote. And we should see an uptick in the numbers, and that's more people involved and engaged, and I think that's important. It's cheaper. And it just modernizes us. So I am all for moving forward and going with telephone and internet voting. Thank you.
Thank you, Conseiller Larrabee.
Thank you, Madam Chair. If it would be just internet, then I would not support this. But if you add the telephone to it, then definitely everybody has a telephone. As far as the internet, not everyone has internet or the ability to command the internet. But if you do add the telephone to it, then and it costs less, and I presume there's going to be a fairly big window opportunity that you will be able to vote, and you will be voting from the comfort of your home. You will not have to depend on the mail. Did it make it in time? Did it reach in time? So I think this would be the way to go. Cheaper, and this is if it's $25,000 cheaper, I'm sure we could find a road or something that we could put that money toward, and it would benefit the municipality. So I think this would be moving forward, is to go with the internet. And if for some reason it does not pan out this time around, then the next election, the new council could change.
Councillor Dan, that's scary. Councillor Dan, we see you twice. There. Okay, sorry, Conseiller Larrabee.
So my vote would be to go with the internet and the telephone. Thank you.
No, okay, but like I said, like, everybody's voting, so I guess the chair, what the chair is trying to direct and see the way we're gonna proceed, it's not always working that way, because I asked for comment and
Okay.
opinion, and now everybody's voting, so it's okay, but I'm just saying.
I'll still answer
Now we're
questions.
gonna go to Conseiller Revita, can you talk? Are you
No,
okay?
Madam Chair, I think I'm first.
Okay, you're right, you're first. It's because I saw two Dan and I wasn't sure. Now he's only back to one Dan. So
No,
Conseiller,
that's fine.
Ted, I
Okay.
apologize for that.
That's okay, that's fine. Through you,
I'm
Madam Chair,
polite.
may I ask you a question to the clerk first?
To the what?
To the clerk first?
Oh,
May I
yeah,
ask a
sure.
question?
That's,
Through you. Yeah, Melanie, before, when the people that have cottages, they're out of town, how do they make aware how to reach us by phone or whatever? Do they send by mail or what?
Through you, Madam Chair, yes, it would be the same as instead of getting a voting kit in the mail like we have in the past, you would get a voter notification letter. Every eligible elector, regardless of where they live in the world, as long as they're a Canadian citizen and are eligible and own property in West Nipissing, would receive their notice, their password, their PIN, the phone number if they chose. So everybody there would be nobody excluded.
Okay, thank you. So Madam Chair, so I would vote to elect on.
there you go.
with
Join
my
the
phone.
crowd and not listening to me. So that's okay.
Pardon me, what's that? Madam Chair, I didn't hear.
I know, I just said that I was supposed to wait to the end. I've been saying twice, but it's not happening. So,
Oh, okay.
okay? And
Okay.
nobody's making a point of order at that point of time. So, Monsieur Senecal, Monsieur Revida. No, Monsieur Revida, Conseiller Revida.
So I missed most of the conversation, but now I'm on my phone now. So hopefully this won't leave. The only thing I was going to say is that if it's significantly lower in cost and that it's, people are embracing technology today and it's true, like, my 90, I'm not supposed to say her age. My mother-in-law is, she uses her technology and everything, so I don't see an issue there. So I'm thinking for the seniors and the handicapped, this is more friendly because they all they'll be doing is using the internet or using the phone. So for those reasons and the significant cost that we're going to save, I think that this is the right way to go. There's going to probably be hiccups like everything else, but we had hiccups last year with mail-in too. So no, I strongly think that this is the way to go.
Okay.
But I didn't hear anything else, so I don't know what anybody else said. So you may have to conclude. You may have to give a resume at the end, Councillor Lees, because it was breaking up all over, and that's why you got two of me at one time.
Okay, I will try to do so then. Conseiller, no, it's Madame Mayor before.
Okay, well, I listened to all the comments of everyone. Everyone has a valid point. My personal preference is vote by mail. And vote by mail because we have an aging population in West Nipissing. I don't want to make the assumption that they're all proficient on the internet and even by phone. Many individuals in the outlying area and even locally don't have a landline. They deal with cell phone. There could be issues of coverage depending on the boundaries. And when it was vote by mail, they also had the provision of being able to come to town hall to obtain a ballot and complete their ballot at town hall. So my preference is, unfortunately, it may cost a little bit more, but due to the technology and not everyone having the same level of coverage with technology, I'll stick to the vote by mail.
Okay, so Mel, I saw that you had something to do because you're part of the staff. I will let you talk.
Thank you. I just wanted to, and maybe I forgot to mention it in my memo, that the electronic voting will also have, we will have the same, a dedicated computer and staff in town hall where people who don't have computers, who are uncertain or nervous, will be able to come in and do their voting in private at a dedicated computer for that purpose. So it will be similar to the vote by mail, where we'll always have staff who will help people who are uncertain, and we'll have resources for people who don't have them.
Okay, well, I want to say thank you for that information, but I'm still going with the vote by mail because I find if I had my way, I've been advocating for a long time to be able to go with a traditional method of voting because there was so much demand of people wanting to go in person to vote in person. But we're beyond that. We've been dealing vote by mail. So my recommendation is to stick to vote by mail.
Okay, now I'm gonna go to Conseiller Denis.
Madam Chair. When I went around last time, I had a lot of requests to, people were saying to me at that time, I would like to vote in person. I like voting in person. Why can't we vote in person? That's what I heard throughout my campaign. So I'm certain that my residents are not ready to go to internet, telephone, where that could be subject to a lot of abuse here, because there's only a PIN number. And, I think a mail-in is, I think that's our third election with mail-in. I think people are starting to accept it right now. I don't feel that it's time to change to internet phone, because there's all kinds of issues in our area that are unpredictable. So, and I think it was successful by mail. And for 25,000 over 4 years, I don't think we can cry about that. So I still think we should stick by for voting by mail. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm the last one to talk, and then after that, I'll go around and ask who's in favor of mail's recommendation. But at this point of time, I'm going to say my comment. I listen to everybody. It makes sense. I know that we're going toward technology more and more. But I think for a population that we have in West Nipissing, that I'm looking and thinking about Au Château, and I'm mentioning what Councillor Dan said, that, handicapped population, blah, blah, blah. I think they're a very vulnerable person, and I think it will be more chance that, yes, they're going to vote, but, people's going to be voting for them. So another thing is that I would definitely prefer going into person, but this offer is provided to people that choose the mail by vote to go to the municipal building, and I'm sure it still will be provided. So I don't feel comfortable because of and we got people going to be working together, and I'm scared of that, maybe because of my age. I don't know. I don't think we're ready to go just by mail. I don't trust that. There's too much people that can have access, people that pick up mail for people. And so at this point of time, I would, when I go around, I would say what I'm going to be voting for. So now it's time to ask who's in favor of the recommendation made by mail, excuse me, Madam Clerk, that we go to electronic voting, which is strictly telephone and internet, with the option, if people have problem with computer, blah, 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 they could go to the town hall. That's the same that it was before. So I think it's pretty straightforward. So who's in favor of that? Raise your hand, please. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and I have to say that I'm not in agreement, not ready for that. So the people that will be elected next election will have that option to do after that, and it will be 4 more years. But so you got direction, Mel?
Not really.
Well, the direction, it's people don't want it. It's no direction, I guess.
I was going to say that I can see, I see 4 that want one thing. I see
There's four. I
A
said I
couple
could
that
have
want
some.
something else and a couple that want something else.
No, there were four people that said that I asked the question about who was supporting your recommendation to raise their hand. N'importe qui supportait ta recommandation de voter par Internet et le téléphone de lever leur main, qu'avec l'option d'aller à l'hôtel de ville, s'il y avait des difficultés avec la technologie. Alors, il y a 4 qui ont levé leur main.
Oui, je comprends, mais
OK, mais
il faut qu'on faire un arrêté. Jay, I believe that our CIO has something.
Oui, it's a good try for the French. On a besoin d'une décision. Alors, ce qui arrive, je pense que s'il n'y a pas l'appétit d'avoir vote par l'Internet ou par téléphone, que ça revient à la base de vote à la poste. So what I think the direction may be, and hopefully you go there so we can finish our night, is that if there isn't an appetite to go vote by internet or by phone, there were comments that said the status quo, though not even acceptable to some of them, is still better than what you wanted. So I believe that the fallback position right now is to go to vote by mail. And if you can move forward on that, say whether I misunderstood or whatever, but if you're not going to get an electronic vote, then let's go vote by mail. That's the position.
Okay, well, that's, yeah. So it's clear that people are ready to go by internet because it was 4-4. So everybody who's not in agreement with the vote by mail. So, wow, there's two other options we could have. So I think that's a recommendation. So who's not in favor of that? Raise your hand who's not in favor. So there's one, there's
Madam
two.
Chair, I didn't understand. I didn't understand your question. I did hear some comment that there's some councillors that would like to go back to the original way. So could we bring that forward as a
The
vote?
recommendation was given by the CEO
By
that
mail?
it would be status quo because that's the way we're used to do it. So that's the question that the recommendation by, I can ask the question, the recommendation, who support the recommendation made that by the CEO, because no, it was not passed that we want the internet and the phone status quo. So that's the question. Who wants to remain, who doesn't want to remain? It's gotta come. So
Lise, I think we can get stuck in a voting loop here. I think it's over. It's decided. It's vote by mail. If you the way you're posing the question,
well, I know it was decided, but it was brought up by mail that mail
If the fallback position is vote by mail, then
it's
let's
vote by mail, Lise. There's no more voting.
I know that, but I'm just going by what the recommendation. You know what? Sometimes we can make people's life really, really hard.
We'll bring a bylaw to the next meeting for the vote by mail as in the past.
Okay. Wow. Okay. The last one, thank God, is, where am I? Request to renaming, very positive one on Wesley Bay Road and Wesley River. Again, it's an email sent, not again, but it was sent to, did the staff had wrote something about that? So it's just a request that sent by Marion. Okay, somebody can pronounce their last name. I don't want to be a label that I did not pronounce that name well. So Marianne, I'll call her Madame Marianne, okay? She's asking that please see the link above, blah, blah, blah. As part of a move forward in a positive light, I would like to request that you rename Wesley Bay Road, Wesley Bay River, and Wesley Bay. Okay, so is it, I don't get it now. See, it's getting late. That you rename Wesley Bay Road, Wesley River, and Wesley Bay. So the two name, or can somebody explain that to me?
Yeah, I think she's talking about the bay, the road, and the river.
So
there's three names there. But could I actually speak to this?
well, I think we should ask staff to speak to it. And then after that, I'm going to go around because it was brought by Marianne. So we're talking about a road that is already named Wesley Bay Road, which they asked to rename it Wesley River.
Mhm.
Okay, that's one, right?
Two.
Two. I know, but that's okay. I'm sorry, somebody's gonna have to take over, Madam Mayor, take over.
Okay,
I cannot because,
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. I
Okay.
think there's a request before us identifying, requesting the renaming of a road, a river, and a bay. And it has to do with the issue of truth and reconciliation, and based on what's been occurring in different other areas in the country where there's been renaming of Worsley School and other locations that have the name Worsley. And basically, it states that being proud Indigenous heritage and my family endured the residential school process, I find that it's an opportunity to improve history and to provide a more meaningful, peaceful, and suitable name for these places. Any relationship involving minimizing and extinguishing Indigenous people is not a positive one. And there was a definition of Worsley, which is defined as negative interaction with Indigenous people. So before proceeding with this request, it involves a road, it involves a bay, it involves a river. I think we do have policies. It may also involve other stakeholders for renaming, but there could also be some maybe consultation or discussion that would take place with our Indigenous communities and seek their feedback as well. It's not just something that we can say, if we're speaking from the heart, we want to be able to address the issue, but then sometimes there's a little bit more complexity to arrive to it. So I see Councillor Chris has his hand up. So Councillor Chris, what's your comment to this regard?
Okay, so this is actually a really interesting one because it's about General Wolseley, and he did travel through there on his way to Manitoba. But interestingly enough, there's an article in the newspaper. Cyril Manette, who was at Riel's trial and was a friend of Riel's, he settled that area. And in the article here, it says, incidentally, Wolseley Bay was also named by Cyril Manette. Manette was a Métis. And he actually named it I think I'm allowed to say, like, kind of giving the finger, like as a humorous way. So this is not really a piece of history that I mean, we should maybe consult with people, but I don't think this is a piece of history that we necessarily want to erase, because actually the story behind it is more interesting than the folk. And I can refer, the article is in the Tribune, Wednesday, September the 2nd, 2020. It's quite an interesting article. And because of those factors, it just seems to me the wrong thing to do. So,
yeah.
Thank you.
So based on the request that we got, the information that you shared, can we ask staff or a little bit more research communicating with Doki's First Nation, because I'm sure that they're going to have some either concerns or feedback to this request. So I think there's a little bit more research that's required to this issue, based on the information on how the email was written and based on the history of the location as well. Would you all agree that we direct staff to communicate with our Indigenous neighbors and find out a little bit more feedback regarding this request? They may be in favor or they may even be against the request. and for it to be brought back with that information. And from there, we can proceed in making a decision and having an understanding also, if we do decide to move forward, what are the stakeholders involved? And if we decide not to move forward, at least we're going to be able to get a little bit more feedback. Would you agree with that?
Yes. I
Madam
agree.
Mayor, Madam
Okay.
Mayor, point?
Just a second, Conseiller Leo. I'm just going to ask Conseiller Rowley. I'm not sure if he says yes, he agrees, or if he has a comment or a question.
Madam Mayor, I totally agree with your comment. We need more information on this, yes.
Okay,
Def-
Conseiller Leo.
Yes, I also agree with you, Madam Mayor, but also to rename a river or a bay is not our purview. We can, that municipality can name a road, but not a river.
I know, but whatever we decide with the information that we get will give us, some type of, what would be the next step, okay?
I totally agree.
So if there's no objection, we'll provide it back to staff. So there could be research dialogue with our Indigenous neighbors and make them aware that we got this request and see what their feedback is. So it could be brought back to council for further discussion. In agreement? Okay.
Yeah.
So the next item, we move on to the request, emergency measures and public safety. My apologies. I see that our clerk has her hand up. You're on mute, Melanie.
I said it's 9:35. We need a resolution if we're going to proceed any further to extend the curfew.
Okay, so a mover and a seconder is going to be required for a resolution. Conseiller Chris, Conseiller Rowley.
It is moved by Councillor Fisher and seconded by Councillor Larrabee at approximately 9:35 p.m. A motion was made to extend the meeting beyond regular curfew in order to proceed with the agenda.
Okay, who's in favor in regards to the resolution? We need 6 people to support the resolution. The resolution is defeated.
Vote is taken.
I need a mover and a seconder for adjournment.
Conseiller Lise. Conseiller Leo.
It is moved by Councillor Lee Senecal and seconded by Councillor Mellet. Be it resolved that bylaw number 2020-81, being a bylaw of the West Nipissing Municipality to confirm the proceedings of council at its meeting held on the 2nd day of November 2021, shall come into force and take effect on the day it is passed.
Those in favor? Okay. Anyone against the resolution to adjourn?
It was, yeah, okay.
Okay, I think people are
yes.
tired. Okay, so the resolution is carried.
Oh, I would, Councillor Yvonne, I would have loved to keep going, but it's okay.
It is
Well,
moved by-
the question was very
Okay,
straightforward.
Conseiller Lise, we're beyond that. We adopted the resolution to adjourn, and I believe there's just one more, the final one.
It is moved by Councillor Lee Senecal and seconded by Councillor Mellet. Be it resolved that the meeting of council held on November the 2nd, 2021 be adjourned.
Okay. No objection, carried. Donc, ceci conclut notre réunion pour ce soir. This concludes the meeting for this evening. Thank